I'm doing a regular playthrough of Pokemon Heartgold. I've watched a lot of YouTube and seen lots and lots of nuzlocks, but not really many regular playthroughs. So that's what I'm doing today. I thought about doing one, but it's not really that unique anymore, and I am not good at the game. This is my favorite Pokemon game, so let's see what happens. Also, I'm using this Pikachu animated loop that I found on YouTube from Vanessa Shipe, so I've linked her channel if you want to check it out too. The intro to the game was as fire as I remember and got me ready to play the game. I spoke to Professor Oak and he yapped about the world and Pokemon and the world and Pokemon, you know, normal stuff. He whipped out one of the goats, Marl, to flex on me a little bit. Then he asked if I was a boy or a girl. And I told him I'm a boy because I believe I'm a boy. And then I told him my name, Luca, because my name is Luca. He wished me luck on the upcoming adventure. Very nice of him, you know. And then I morphed into a little blob. My adventure begins in my room. I walk over to my computer and all that's on there is a letter from my childhood friend Lyra, which reads, "Adventure, excited. I love Pokemon. Thank you, Lyra, for that insightful message." I head downstairs and talk to my mum, and she tells me to go see Professor Elm, who's next door. I say bye to Mum, leave the house, and I'm greeted by a cute little Marl. The Marl runs off with Lyra, then I head to the lab to see Professor Elm. Once I'm in the lab, I talk to the professor. Seemingly like all professors, he yaps about Pokemon and whatnot. He then graciously offers me my first Pokemon. I knew for a fact I wasn't going to choose Chikorita, but it was a real toss-up between Totodile and Cyndaquil. After much deliberation, I decided on Cyndaquil because just look at him, he is cute. Yeah, alright! I named him Steven because, Steven's a great name for a Cyndaquil, okay? Steven the Cyndaquil and I leave the lab and we bump into Lyra again. She congratulates us on a perfect choice and is on her way. I check in on Steven to see how he's doing and he is sniffing me. I head back home to flex on my mum, my new Pokemon, and tell her I'm never coming home. We probably will be back soon, but you know. Steven and I leave town and embark on Route 29. We brave our way through the tall grass and encounter our first ever battle. We encounter a level 2 Pidgey standing in our way, and who does he think he is, blocking our path? We got places to be, man! Steven tackles the Pidgey until he's knocked out, and hopefully this sends a message to all the other Pidgeys not to mess with us. We confidently continued along the route, bathing in the glory of our last victory. While walking in the long grass, we got into yet another battle, this time with a level 4 Rattata. Steven and I knew we had this. Unfortunately, the Rattata knew Quick Attack, and it got a critical hit, which did a mild amount of damage, but we didn't care. Steven used Tackle, and it missed. Steven used Tackle again, this time a direct hit. Unfortunately, the Rattata had a berry, which reduced the power of the move. The Rattata then used Tail Whip, which, at this point, we were quite afraid. Steven used Tackle again, hoping for a big hit, and it did not do a lot of damage. Rattata lowered our defense again, and then used Quick Attack. Uh-oh. No! Steven! Steven fainted, we lost the battle, and I blacked out. No! I wake up back at home and my mum is rubbing it in my face. Okay, Mom. I leave the house and try again. We say bye to Newbark Town again and travel along Route 29. And we definitely must have scared those Pidgeys in our first battle because none of them came back. While walking, we got into another battle with a level 2 Sentret, which we easily took out. Steven and I continued through the route at a leisurely pace until we reached Cherry Grove City. We ran into this friendly old man who helped explain a couple things that I kind of already knew, but I appreciate the thought. When he finished yapping, he gave me some brand new running shoes. Thanks, old man. I tested them out by running to the Pokemon Center and healed up Steven. On my way out of town, I got stopped by the old man again and he gave me a map. I continued on to Route 30 and encountered a Caterpie. The Caterpie wasn't a problem at all. Steven knocked it out and gained some XP. Steven leveled up to level 6 and got a new move. After the battle, I picked up a potion and then decided to trespass into this random house. Luckily, he didn't shoot me and he wasn't even mad. In fact, he gave me an apricorn box. People are so friendly. I stole the apricorn outside his house and continued along the route. I didn't get very far because I had a random encounter that was a metapod. All I did was use tackle over and over, and all it did was use harden over and over.
Hey, yo!
But after a long battle, I took it out. I continued running, picked up an antidote, then checked in on Steven to see how he was doing. The path ahead was blocked by an intense Pokemon battle, and he didn't want to move out the way. Steven and I took the side path, won an easy battle, then entered another random house. An old man was there who said he knew I was coming from an email from Professor Elm. He gave me an egg and told me to take it back to Nuzlocke Town. Professor Oak was there too, and he gave me a Pokédex. I said goodbye to the old geezers and headed back towards Nuzlocke Town. I took out some foolish Pidgeys along the way that still don't know not to mess with me, and before I knew it, Steven and I were running into Cherry Grove City again. While passing through the city, I got stopped by this mysterious and evil-looking guy. He challenged me to an impromptu Pokemon battle. You are challenged by Passerby Boy. His name is Passerby Boy. He sent out a Totodile, presumably the one from the lab. Steven didn't hold back and used tackle over and over again until the Totodile was no more. He tells me he's going to be the world's greatest Pokemon trainer before walking away, and I head back along Route 29 so I can get back home to Nuzlocke Town. On the way, I run into another battle, and guess who it is? Another punk-ass Pidgey. These guys still haven't learned not to mess with me! Steven the Cyndaquil tackles the Pidgey until it's no more and levels up to level 9. When we finally get back to Nuzlocke Town, I enter the lab, and the police are there. I'm innocent, please don't arrest me, take Steven instead. A Pokemon has been stolen, and apparently the redhead Passerby Boy did it. And since I battled him, I must know his name. Yeah guys, it's Jim. Jim. The police leave to chase the guy I snitched on, and I give Professor Elm the egg I got. I whipped out the Pokédex I got from Professor Oak, and I could tell Professor Elm was jealous. He was all like, just because you have a Pokédex doesn't mean you can beat the Pokemon League. I was like, bet bro, and I left to do just that. I went back home to talk to my mum, and told her I gotta leave town to prove this old man wrong. And she was on board with it. She even said she'd save some of my money and hopefully win big on crypto or whatever. So I left town and immediately run into Lyra. She takes me into the long grass, and her Marl briefly teach me how to catch Pokemon. She gives me a bunch of Pokeballs and walks away. Steven and I retrace our steps along the route and we get into a battle. It's a level 3 Sentret, we tackle him and take it out with a critical hit. Steven and I keep running along the route and win a couple of easy battles. Wild Pokemon on Route 29 are no longer a threat for Steven. We shake an apricorn tree to get its green apricorn and then pass through Cherry Grove City to Route 30 again. I get into a battle with a Metapod and quickly take it out.
Why you bully me?
I gain some XP, level up, and learn the move Ember. I continue along the route until I get to the path that was blocked by a battle. One of the trainers looked at me and tells me he lost the battle and wants to fight me instead. Big mistake, buddy. The kid youngster Joey sends out a level 4 Rattata, presumably the one that killed me all those minutes ago. Steven used Ember and takes him out in a single hit. And just like that, youngster Joey is defeated. I take his $64 and leave. We bump into the other trainer that was blocking the path, and he wants to fight as well. Youngster Mikey foolishly sends out a level 2 Pidgey, which I take out in a single Ember. He then sends out a level 4 Rattata, which I also take out in a single Ember. Steven gains some XP for winning, and never mind. We continue along the route until we run into another foolish child that wants to challenge me. Bugcatcher Don sends out a Caterpie, which is a dumb choice against a fire type like Steven. He sends out a second Caterpie, which sadly meets the same fate as the first. And just like that, we get another W. We take his $48. Steven and I continue and reach Route 31. We pass through the long grass and find a potion. We decide to check out the hole in the wall and enter Dark Cave. I don't know if it's meant to be this dark, but it's pitch black so we decide to leave. Steven and I continue along Route 31. While walking around, we get into another battle. Bug Catcher Wade has 4 Pokemon. What are you doing, bro? They're all very underleveled and they're all bug type Pokemon. Steven makes short work of them all using Ember over and over again. What is this kid thinking, man? Throwing Pokeballs at everything! Idiot, man! Idiot! Give me that money! He seemed to like my friendliness and natural charisma and asked for my phone number, which I happily obliged. I found a quick Pokeball and ran to the end of the route. While in the little kiosk building, Lyra caught up to me and was impressed I was so fast. She gave me a versus recorder before speeding off. I followed her and made it to Violet City. Steven and I walked to the Pokemon Center because Steven's had a hard journey and needs a rest, and I healed him up. I leave the Pokemon Center and head straight for the first Pokemon Gym. I enter the gym and talk to this guy who really believes in me, but he tells me we have to go to the Sprout Tower first. I leave the gym straight away and head towards the Sprout Tower. It's a short walk, and when we get there, we enter the building. Sprout Tower, what a beautiful place. I bum around on the first floor until I find the ladder. I climb it, run along, and get into a battle. Sage Nico only has Bellsprouts, which is not a problem for Steven, and he quickly takes out all 3. No! I take the monk's $144 and am on my way. I continue exploring the tower and find myself a paralyzed heel. I continue exploring and get into another battle, this time with Sage Chow, who also has 3 level 3 Bellsprouts. Steven used Ember and takes them all out, and he learned Quick Attack. I find an X accuracy and run down until surprisingly I get into yet another battle. If this guy has 3 Bellsprouts again, I'm gonna be pissed! Ah, damn it! Yeah, he had 3 Bellsprouts again, and Steven quickly took them all out. I continue along the Bellsprout infested tower and climb the last ladder. I pick up a potion and start battling the trainers blocking my path. Sage Jin is first with, you guessed it, another Bellsprout. This one's level 6 though, so it's a bit different. But the result of the battle is the same. Steven used Ember and took him out in one hit. Oh no. Steven leveled up to level 14 and he started evolving. I was pretty excited, not gonna lie. Whoa! But then I realized Steven the Quilava doesn't sound nearly as cool as Steven the Cyndaquil, but it's still my man Steven, so whatever. Steven and I continued and we quickly got in another battle. Sage Neil had another level 6 Bellsprout and we quickly took him out with Steven.
What the f*** you say to me, you little shit?
When the battle ended, I took 3 steps to the right and got in another battle. Sage Troy had another Bellsprout, this time a level 7.
Wow.
Steven used Ember and took him out in one hit. Sage Troy shockingly sends out a Hoot Hoot, and it's quite a surprise to see something that's not a Bellsprout. Steven used Ember and the Hoot Hoot barely survives, and the Hoot Hoot uses Hypnosis and puts me to sleep. I kinda wish it was a Bellsprout at this point. The Hoot Hoot tackles me while I'm asleep, but luckily Steven wakes up and finishes Hoot Hoot off with a quick attack.
Oh shit, not good.
I walked to the end of the tower and Jim was there, talking to an old man. I wanted to talk to him and apologize for sending the police after him, but he used an escape rope before I had a chance to say anything. I walk over to the old man and talk to him, and he's talking about some final test or something. Clearly he's delusional, but he challenges me to a battle. The clearly offers meds old man sends out a Bellsprout. Steven uses Ember and takes it out in a single hit. Steven levels up to level 15. Way to go, Steven. And then the crazy old man sends out a Hoot Hoot. Steven used Ember and got it to half health. And then the Hoot Hoot used Hypnosis and put Steven to sleep. Luckily, Steven quickly woke up and used Ember again.
Uh-oh.
The old man sends out another Bellsprout. Steven used Ember again and took him out quickly. The old man's impressed and he gives me $1,000. He does some old man dementia rambling and ends up giving me a technical machine, Flash. I assume this was a mistake, he's clearly out of his mind. We find an escape rope and use it to quickly exit the tower. I make a fast pit stop at the Pokemon Center and then hit the Pokemon Gym. We run inside, take the elevator up, and challenge the first gym trainer. Birdkeeper Abe is our first opponent, and he is a level 9 Spearow. Steven uses Ember and almost knocks it out in one hit, and then uses Quick Attack to take it out.
Oh no.
I continue walking and challenge the second trainer in the gym. Birdkeeper Rod is our opponent this time, and he is a level 7 Pidgey. Steven used Ember, takes it out quickly, and fights another level 7 Pidgey. He uses Ember again, takes it out, and levels up to level 16. Another easy battle done, and now I'm ready to fight the gym leader. I talked to Faulkner, and he's really passionate about birds, which is cool, I guess. I just want the badge though, so I challenge him to a battle. Faulkner sends out a level 9 Pidgey to start, which was pretty underwhelming, to be honest. Steven used Ember and then finished it off with a quick attack. Faulkner then sends out a Pidgeotto, and it's nice to see something new. Steven and I were ready to win the fight and used Ember. It didn't do a whole lot of damage, but it did burn the Pidgeotto, which is a massive development. Steven endured a somewhat pitiful gust and then used Ember again. The Pidgeotto barely survived and used Gust again. This time a critical hit, but it didn't amount to anything because luckily the Pidgeotto died to 3rd degree burns. And just like that, we beat the battle and got our first gym badge! Yeah! He then decided to yap a whole bunch, but man, I don't care. I don't listen to weaklings, okay? See you later. As soon as I get out the gym, I get a phone call. It's Professor Elm. He wants to give back the egg I gave him, and it's waiting for me in the Pokemon. I think he's doing it with bad intentions though. He just wants to slow me down. I go to the Pokemon to pick up the egg anyway. Maybe I can make a cool omelette later or something, I don't know. And then I run to the Pokemon Center to heal up Steven. After our rest, Steven and I decide it's time to leave Violet City. After exiting the town and making it to Route 36, we talk to a girl and she tells us the path ahead is blocked. We then talk to another guy and he gives us the HM Rock Smash. We take a quick look at the path and it's blocked. We turn around and retrace our steps. The only other way to go is south from Violet City, so that's what we do. I pick up a quick apricorn and then make it to Route 32. While fumbling around in the grass, we get into a battle. And it's a wild Wooper. At this point, I needed some more Pokemon, so I was intent on catching it. Steven used Ember, which weakened it a bunch. And then I threw a Pokeball. Alright, big money, big money. Yeah! 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 I was pretty ecstatic. I like Wooper a lot, and I'm glad he's on the team. I named it William, and only afterwards did I realize it was a female, but regardless, William the Wooper is now on the team. I talk to an old man and he gives me a miracle seed, and then I run in the grass and enter a battle. It happens to be Wooper's debut battle, and it's against a Bellsprout, which is an unfavorable matchup, so I switched out Wooper and sent Steven to deal with it. Steven used Ember and takes it out in a single hit. We continue along Route 32 until we get stopped by a trainer. Youngster Albert sends out a Rattata, and I am confident in William the Wooper's ability, so I let her fight. William takes a quick attack to the chin like a champ, and then uses Water Gun, which doesn't do a lot of damage. William uses Water Gun again, and this time, due to the power of friendship, gets a critical hit. William endures another big hit, and then finishes the Rattata off with another Water Gun. Youngster Albert then sends out a Zubat. It uses Leech Life, which did a fair amount of damage, and William used Water Gun, which barely did anything. At this point, my faith in William's battle capabilities faltered, and I sent out Steven to finish up. Steven got confused upon entering the battle and hit himself in the face. Luckily, Steven snapped out of it quickly and used Ember, which did a lot of damage and finished off the Zubat. William leveled up from this encounter and I took the kid's money. I ran past youngster Albert, who was petrified from the stun of defeat, and I found a Repel. I leave the tall grass and talk to a girl who's on the phone. She's talking to a debt collection agency, and I challenge her to a battle because everybody needs to learn to pay their debts. The brokey picnicker Liz sends out a Nidoran, and I send out William. William used Water Gun against the broke Nidoran, and William got scratched in retaliation. Then William spammed Water Gun 4 more times and finally won the battle. Bruh. She asked me how to get out of debt, and I'm kind of a financial guru, so I got her number. I kept running along and while in the long grass, got into another battle. This time it was another wild Wooper. Since William couldn't damage it at all, I sent out Steven. Steven used Quick Attack and took it out in a single hit. I ran along the pier and talked to a fisherman who must have been bored because he was down to battle. Henry the fisherman sends out a polywag, and I send out William. Since William still only knows water gun, I swap him out for the goat, Steven! Steven uses quick attack, which does a hefty amount of damage, and then he dodges a hypnosis. Steven takes out the polywag with another quick attack. Henry has another polywag, and Steven uses Ember, which doesn't do a lot of damage. Steven gets hit by a bubble, which I feel probably should have done more damage, and then finishes off polywag with a quick attack. After winning the fight, I talk to the other fisherman and get into another battle. Fisherman Justin has 4 Pokemon, but luckily they're all Magikarp. What an idiot! Who uses Magikarp? I let William battle because he needs the XP. William takes out 1 Magikarp, and when he takes out another, he levels up to level 9 and learns Mudshot. William takes out the remaining 2 Magikarp with his strong new move. We run along the pier and get into a battle with another fisherman. Fisherman Ralph has a level 10 Goldeen, and I'm glad he's smarter than the last guy who had 4 Magikarp. William gets hit with a pick and almost dies. William then uses Mudshot, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage. I switch out William because I don't want him to die and send out my main man, Steven. Steven uses quick attack, which does a nice chunk of damage and then dodges a supersonic. Steven used Ember and almost takes out the Goldeen. Luckily, the Goldeen completely wastes its turn using Water Sport, and Steven takes out the Goldeen with a quick attack. Real recognizes real, and the fisherman realized I'm gonna be the greatest of all time and asked for my number. William and I continue running along the route until we get stopped by another trainer. Youngster Gordon, I gotta give him credit, is actually a pretty smart trainer. He also has a Whooper. Whoop, whoop. William starts the battle with a Mudshot, which does a decent amount of damage and lowers the opponent's speed. The other Whooper wasted its turn using Mudsport and then gets hit by another Mudshot. The opposing Whooper used Water Gun, which actually healed me because of my ability. William used Mudshot again and almost takes out the Whooper. The opposing Whooper used Mudshot back, and I realized Gordon isn't the best trainer because he could have been attacking me the whole time. William finishes the battle with one last Mudshot. William levels up to level 10 after absorbing his brother's energy, and we win the battle. We continue running and bump into this dude who offers us a Slowpoke tail for $1 million. I don't want that shit, man. Screw you! I run to the Pokemon Center after almost getting scammed and heal up my fellas. A fisherman gives me an old rod. I leave the Pokemon Center and quickly get into a battle. Birdkeeper Peter sends out a level 6 Pidgey, and Whooper takes it out with a Water Gun. Birdkeeper Peter sends out another Pidgey, and we take it out with another Water Gun. Peter sends out a Spearow this time, and we employ the same strategy of spamming Water Gun over and over again. I take Peter's $256 and then leave. William learned and used Rock Smash to break a rock that was in my path, and he was feeling a bit dizzy afterwards. Then I found a Shell Bell. Afterwards, William and I entered the nearby Union Cave. William and I walked around the cave a bit, exploring, and after a while, we got into a battle. A wild Sandshrew appeared. I've always loved Sandshrew. William got hit with a scratch and then used Water Gun. It was a super effective hit. I threw a Pokeball at the weakened Sandshrew. Come on, baby, come on! Yep! Yeah! I caught the Sandshrew and added another member to my team. I named her Samantha because I got an alliteration thing going on, and it's a great name for a Sandshrew. After catching Samantha, I pick up an X attack. I then continue running through the cave until I get stopped by a trainer. Hiker Daniel challenges me with an Onix, and it's not a good matchup against my Whooper. William uses a super effective Water Gun, and it takes out the Onix in a single hit. From the really hard battle, William levels up to level 12. We continue through the cave and run into another trainer who wants to battle. Hiker Russell has a Geodude, which is another bad matchup against my Whooper, and William uses Water Gun to quickly take it out. Russell sends out another Geodude, which meets the same fate as the first one. Russell sends out a third Geodude, and I gotta be honest, comprising your team full of 3 Geodudes is not the smartest decision. We win the battle and William levels up to level 13. We continue through the cave until we get stopped by yet another trainer. Fire breather Bill sends out a coughing, and I send out William. William uses a water gun and the coughing misses a smog. William takes it out with another water gun.
Oh shit.
And then Bill sends out another coughing.
Top of the morning to you laddies, my name is...
William gets hit with a smog. Not only is it a critical hit, but William gets poisoned. William takes out the coughing with one more water gun and wins the battle. Immediately after, we find a great ball and continue running through the cave. While running, we get into another battle, and who are all these people just sitting around in caves, man? They need to get a new hobby, it's weird. The weirdo Larry sends out a slowpoke, and William spams mudshot until the slowpoke is defeated. Larry gets what he deserves for sitting around in a cave and attacking random people. William levels up to level 14, and I take Larry's money. We continue running to the end of the cavern, find an awakening, and leave Union Cave. It's torrentially raining on Route 33, but we run around and find some apricorns. I pick both the apricorns, and then talk to a dude who wants to battle. Hiker Anthony sends out a Geodude and is taken out in one hit. Anthony then sends out a Machop. William used water gun, gets hit by a karate chop, and then takes it out with another water gun. After the battle, we make it to Azalea Town. There's a Romeo and Juliet situation going on with these two guys. I don't really know the details though, I wasn't really paying attention. After seeing the drama, I ran into town and entered the Pokemon. I bought a bunch of goods for the road ahead and then went next door to the Pokemon Center. I healed up my fellas and then went to the next house over, picked an apricorn, and then went inside. I walk up to the old man and talk to him, and he explains it wasn't a Romeo and Juliet situation, but an evil gang operation. He runs off to deal with it, and he's seemingly mentally unwell, so I feel inclined to help him. William and I are on a rescue mission, and we run towards the well. We climb down the ladder and enter. Upon entering Slowpoke Well, we talk to the old man from before, and apparently he fell down the well and can't move. I feel kinda bad for the paralyzed old man, so I continue the mission on his behalf. I go deeper into the well and find myself in a battle with one of the gang members of Team Rocket. The Team Rocket grunt sends out a Rattata, and William takes it out pretty quickly with a Rock Smash. William levels up to level 15 and learns Slam. The Team Rocket grunt sends out another Rattata. William used Rock Smash again and knocks it out. William and I continue through the well and find a Super Potion. Immediately after, we take on another grunt. This Team Rocket grunt sends out a level 9 Zubat. William gets hit with a leech life and gets its energy sapped. William then uses Slam and almost takes out the Zubat in a single hit. Wooper takes out the Zubat with a water gun. The Team Rocket grunt sends out an Ekans as their second Pokemon, and William uses Mudshot, which is super effective, and takes it out in one hit. After an easy gang fight, I get into another straight away. Wooper takes out the Rattata with a Rock Smash, uses Water Gun on the Zubat, and I switch in Steven to take out another Zubat. Afterwards, I challenge the Team Rocket executive Proton to a battle. He sends out a level 8 Zubat and I lead with Samantha. Samantha gets hit with a Leech Life and then uses Scratch in retaliation, which doesn't do anything. I switch out Samantha because I don't have any faith in its abilities. Steven immediately gets hit with a Supersonic and is confused. Steven smacks himself in his state of confusion, but luckily on his second turn he pulls off the Ember and takes out the Zubat. Proton has a level 12 coughing as well, and I gotta be honest, quite an underwhelming team for a Team Rocket executive. Steven takes it out with a couple of Embers and wins the fight. Proton comes up with a dumb excuse as to why he lost, but he's in denial. He just sucks. Then he ran away. The old man from before shows up and is miraculously healed from his paralysis. We leave the cave together. When we get back to the old man's house, apparently his name's Kurt, he gives me some Team Rocket lore, then gives me a fastball before sending me on my way. After I leave his house, I head to the Pokemon Center next door to heal up. Post healing, I go straight to the Pokemon gym. When I enter, I talk to my biggest supporter and he gives me some helpful advice to use fire moves. I enter and take one of the spiders across the giant hole in the floor. It takes me to a trainer battle that I could have avoided, but I kinda need the XP anyway. Bugcatcher Al sends out a Caterpie, and I lead with Samantha to hopefully get her some battle experience. Samantha gets hit by a big tackle and then uses Sand Attack. My strategy is to lower the Caterpie's accuracy so it misses every attack. The Caterpie uses String Shot to slow me down, which is a strange choice because it's already faster than me, and Samantha uses Sand Attack again. The Caterpie's got good accuracy as it hits another tackle, and Samantha repeats Sand Attack. Samantha dodges a String Shot and scratches the Caterpie. The Caterpie gets its accuracy back and hits another tackle, and Samantha does another weak scratch. Samantha dodges a String Attack, then hits a scratch, then dodges another String Attack and hits another scratch. The Caterpie always seems to hit its tackles as Samantha uses scratch again. Even though it's not looking good, I have faith in Samantha. I think she can win the battle. Samantha gets hit with another tackle and... No! Samantha! Yeah, she unfortunately gets knocked out. I send in Steven to avenge his fallen comrade. Steven used tackle to finish off the Caterpie, and he grew to level 18. Al sent out a Weedle and Steven took it out quick with an Ember. I took Al the douchebag's money, quickly left the gym, went to the Pokemon Center, healed up, and came back to the gym. When I got back, I took the correct spider this time across the giant hole in the floor and got into another gym trainer battle. Bugcatcher Benny sent out a level 7 Weedle, and I gave Samantha another chance of battle. Samantha used Scratch over and over again, hoping to cut up the Weedle into little pieces. The Weedle eventually fainted, and Samantha leveled up to level 8. Benny then sent out a Kakuna. The Kakuna only knew Harden, and it was a long battle filled with hardening and scratching.
Hey, yo!
Sounds like a good night to me. After a long, grueling battle, Samantha came out on top. I switched out Samantha and subbed in Steven to take on Benny's last Pokemon, a Beedrill. My man Steven hit the Beedrill with an Ember, which almost took it out, and then he dodged a Fury Attack. Steven then finished the fight with a Quick Attack. I took Benny's money, then took another spider across the hole in the floor. The spider took me directly to another battle. Bugcatcher Josh sent out a level 13 Paris. I didn't think Samantha could do it, so I switched her out for Steven. As soon as Steven got into the battle, he got hit with a Stun Spore, which left him paralyzed and potentially unable to move. I used a Paralyze Heal to cure Steven's ailment, and then Steven used a super effective Ember against the Paris, which knocked it out. After mucking around on the spider again, I soon found myself in a double battle. The twins Amy and Mimi were my opponents, and what are these children even doing here? Regardless, they're going down! I sent out Steven and Samantha to demolish these children. Steven used Ember on the Spinarch, which took it out, and Samantha did the most pathetic poison sting I've ever seen. Steven used Ember and took out the Ladybug no problem. After demolishing the children, we took their $320. I messed around with the switches and rode the spider a couple of times, and before I knew it, I was standing in front of the gym leader. I talked to Bugsy, and he's got a real bug fetish going on. It's kinda weird actually, but I just want the gym badge, so I challenge him to a battle. The weirdo Bugsy sends out a level 17 Scyther, and I send out my level 9 Samantha. I switch out Samantha because, frankly, she doesn't stand a chance, and Steven gets hit with a U-turn. The U-turn makes the Scyther switch as well, and Bugsy sends out a Metapod. Steven used Ember and knocks out the Metapod in one hit. Steven levels up to level 19. Bugsy sends back out Scyther and it uses Quick Attack. Steven takes it like a champ and uses Ember. Steven gets hit by another Quick Attack and then uses Ember again. It must have been a high roll this time because it took out the Scyther. Steven leveled up again to level 20 and he learnt Flame Wheel as well. I switched out Steven again and subbed back in Samantha. Bugsy sent out a Kakuna and I incorrectly assumed that it only knew hard. Samantha immediately got poisoned and I switched her back out for Steven. Steven unfortunately got fatally poisoned as well and almost died, but finished off the Kakuna with a Flame Wheel. Immediately after the battle, Bugsy tried to indoctrinate me into his weird fetish, but I didn't want any of it. I took the badge and I left. I healed up my fellas after the physically and mentally demanding battle. I could imagine being around weirdos all the time would take a heavy toll on my Pokemon. On my way out of town, I got stopped by someone. It was Jim. Oh, hey, Jim! My bad, bro. Yeah, sorry for sending the police after you, man. My bad. My bad, bro. He was still pissed and didn't accept my apology at all and challenged me to a battle. Jim sent out a Ghastly, and I still didn't have any faith in Samantha, so I switched her out immediately. I sent out my guy Steven, and the Ghastly failed its attack. Steven hit the Ghastly with a flame wheel and knocked it out. Samantha leveled up to level 10 and I subbed her back in, only to immediately swap her back out when seeing Jim's Croconaw. But I sent out William the Whooper instead. William the Absolute Chad absorbed the Croconaw's water gun. William then proceeded to use Mudshot 6 times in a row to take out the Croconaw. Samantha grew to level 11 and I switched her back into the fight. Samantha was up against Jim's last Pokemon, a level 16 Zubat. The level difference isn't ideal, but I wanted to test Samantha. Samantha got hit with a bite and somehow didn't flinch. Then she used a pitiful scratch. The Zubat missed a supersonic and Samantha hit another weak scratch. The stars must have aligned or something because Samantha dodged another supersonic and got a critical hit with her scratch. Even Jim was shocked by his bad luck. That's just how it goes, buddy. Samantha dodged yet another supersonic and hit another scratch. The Zubat finally hit a supersonic and confused Samantha, but it didn't matter anyway because Samantha somehow hit the scratch. Jim was pissed, and I probably would have been too. The bro got hit with some bad luck. He vented about all his problems, and the least I could do was listen after a battle like that. He walked away defeated, and I'm still really sorry for snitching on him like that. It wasn't cool, my bad. I went to the Pokemon Center and quickly healed up my guys again. I went the same direction as Jim and found myself in Ilex Forest. After 2 seconds of running, I got into a battle. It was a wild Paris, and Samantha easily took it out. After the battle, I continued through the forest until I got stopped by this incompetent child. Apparently all the Farfetch'd are running wild, so I have to catch them. I begrudgingly ran through the forest until I found the first Farfetch'd. It was pretty easy to catch, and I don't know how the kid couldn't do this. I just ran behind it and picked it up. I picked up a revive I found on the forest floor, and quickly found the second Farfetch'd. I gotta be honest, I had no idea how to catch him and was fumbling around for about 10 minutes, and yeah, okay, I guess I understand how the kid couldn't do it. Eventually, I figured it out and caught the stupid Farfetch'd and went back to the stupid kid and got the stupid HM cut. I taught Samantha cut to help with future endeavors. The future is now, and Samantha helped clear the path ahead. I paid my respect at the mysterious shrine before continuing through the forest. Samantha and I were precariously running through the forest until we ran into this random guy who was headbutting trees. Clearly he has some sort of mental problem or disability. However, he was quite good at what he was doing, and he even taught William headbutt. We left the surprisingly helpful fellow and continued exploring. Soon enough, Samantha and I ran into a lady wearing a kimono. She was a bit strange as well. She was speaking absolute gibberish and not making any sense. I thought she might have been, a victim of substance abuse and out of her mind. But you can't assume these things because, man, I didn't really know. Samantha went out of her way to show the crazy kimono lady out of the forest. I assumed Samantha was trying to score whatever the kimono lady was on, but no luck. We picked up an ether and then went the same way as the kimono lady. We got to the end of the forest, but right before leaving, we got into a random encounter. It was a level 6 Oddish, a real big threat. I sent out Samantha, she cut it to pieces and took it out. I left the forest, and while in the little kiosk building, I talked to a lady and her Butterfree, and she gave me a TM. How nice. I made it to Route 34, and pretty much straight away got into a battle. Youngster Samuel sent out a Rattata to fight my Sandshrew, Samantha. Samantha used Cut and messed up Samuel's Rattata with a critical hit. Samuel sent in his own Sandshrew, a few levels lower than mine. Samantha used Cut over and over again until its brethren was defeated. I subbed in William to take on Samuel's Spearow and used Water Gun to knock it out. I swapped William back out for Samantha and Samuel sent out a Spearow. Samantha hit a strong cut and the Spearow foolishly lowered my defense. Samantha hit another cut and knocked out the Spearow. Samantha grew to level 14 and we defeated Samuel. Samantha and I continued along Route 34 until we locked eyes with a balding old man. The old man with the receding hairline was named Brandon, and he sent out a snubble. Samantha hit a cut, and it barely did any damage at all. The snubble used charm to lower my attack, and Samantha missed the cut. I switched out Samantha because I kinda had a feeling we were gonna lose, and I sent out Steven. Steven hit the snubble with a flame wheel and turned its opponent into ashes. The snubble got knocked out. I switched back out Steven and sent out Samantha again so Samantha could get some more valuable training. The bald old man sent out a Mareep. Samantha used Cut, which did some decent damage but got paralyzed in the process. The Mareep used Growl, which lowered our attack, and then used Tackle, which did barely anything. Samantha couldn't do anything due to paralysis. Eventually, Samantha did hit 3 cuts and knocked out the Mareep. After winning, we took the old man's money, who probably should have used it on a hair transplant surgery. My mum called me and informed me she spent some of my money buying something useful. Damn it, Mum, I told you to save my money. She told me to pick it up at the Pokemart and emphasized that it will be useful. We continued along the path until we got stopped by another kid who wanted to battle. Youngster Ian sent out a Mankey, and I'm a big Mankey fan. Fortunately, the training's been paying off, and Samantha took it out in 2 cuts. Youngster Ian is seemingly a very cool and based trainer, sends out another one of the goats, Diglett. Samantha used a strong cut, and the Diglett somehow used Scratch. Samantha was unlucky and missed its 2nd cut. Samantha finally hit the last cut it needed and knocked out the Diglett. She leveled up to level 15 and learned Swift. Ian was being all shy and bashful. He was hyping me up, and then he asked for my number, which I happily gave to a based man like Ian. I was walking away, but my mum was calling me again. She informed me she was spending more of my money. Not again, Mum, stop it! Samantha and I continued running along the path until we ran into Lyra again. She was happy to see me and even introduced me to this decrepit old man. Samantha and I followed Lyra and her Marl inside, and she introduced me to yet another decrepit old person. The old lady assumed we were in a relationship, and Lyra totally friend-zoned me, but at the end of it, I got the digits anyway, so who got game, huh? Who got game? Lyra left the building, and I left as well. When I got outside, the decrepit old man from before came to talk to me, and he gave me his number as well. Who's got game? Me! I've got game! I continued along the path and got stopped by the police. No, I'm sorry. I didn't do it. It was an accident. It wasn't me. It was Jim. I had to battle Policeman Keith to clear my name. He had a level 17 Growlithe, and I sent out Samantha, who I promptly switched out to William so I could have the type advantage. The Growlithe used Ember, which was not very effective, but still did a decent amount of damage. The Growlithe used another surprisingly strong Ember, and William retaliated with Water Gun, which really didn't do as much damage as I was hoping. William got hit by another Ember, and things weren't looking good. William used Mud Shot this time, which did a good amount of damage and slowed the Growlithe down. William barely survived another Ember, used Mud Shot, which took out the Growlithe, and cleared my name. After my encounter with the Poe, my mum was calling me again and spent even more of my money. Not again, Mum, please! While walking, I soon got into another battle. Camper Todd had a Psyduck, which was not a good matchup for Samantha, and I don't really know why I didn't switch her out. Samantha immediately got hit by a water gun and got knocked out. I sent out Steven, which was a questionable decision, and used Flame Wheel, which was another quite poor decision. Luckily, I'm not the only one making bad choices, as the Psyduck used Tail Whip. Steven used Quick Attack this time, which almost took out the Psyduck, and luckily the Psyduck used Tail Whip again. Steven ended the fight with one last Quick Attack. Todd asked for my number, and I thought I'd give it to him to teach him to use attacking moves every now and then. I continued walking, and my mum called again. I just don't get why you're doing this, Mum. Why you... Stop it. Please. Steven and I walked into Goldenrod City, and we immediately went to the Pokemon Center. I healed up my guys and then quickly left. I made my way to the department store. I went over to the delivery man to pick up the packages from my mum. All she bought me was berries. What am I gonna do with berries, Mum? I was pissed she wasted all my money on berries. I went into my inventory to check what they do, and man, I'm never gonna use these. I left the department store upset. I wandered around the city and got distracted by the flashing lights of the game corner. Not a casino, okay? A game corner. Big difference. Big difference. After being assured it was a safe and fun place, I entered with Samantha. When I got into the casino, the game corner, I talked to Mr. Game, who was passionate about the art of gaming, and he gave me a coin case. I talked to one of the other guys, and he wanted to trade coins for prizes. One of the prizes was a Dratini. I had to get one. I sat down to play with Mr. Game, and the game was Voltorb Flip. It's kind of like a weird version of Minesweeper. I didn't understand it first, but eventually I figured it out. And I quickly realized it really isn't a casino. They just let you play for free. You can't lose your own money, you only lose what you've already earned. I wish casinos were like this in real life. I'd be a rich man. I legitimately played the stupid minigame for like an hour and a half to get enough coins for the Dratini. And it was pretty fun, to be honest, but it is not very fun to watch. And I just want to emphasize, this took me a long ass time. Eventually, I had the coins I needed, and I said bye to Mr. Game. I talked to the prize giving guy again, and he just handed over the Dratini. I was stoked. What a steal! Gambling does pay off. Samantha and I left the game corner and made our way north. Soon we found ourselves entering a mysterious looking hut. I talked to the old man inside, and he let me change the names of one of my Pokemon. I gave Dratini a new, nice name. I decided on Doretta because I knew she was gonna be strong and dependable, just like the Drill Dozer. Rock and stone, brothers. After walking one step out of the house, I got interrupted. The egg Professor Elm gave me all those days ago hatched into a Togepi. I totally forgot to turn you into an omelet, my bad. I didn't want to use the Togepi as it was level 1, but I ran to the radio tower anyway. There was a rude member of Team Rocket outside. I ignored him and went inside. I talked to Whitney, the gym leader, and she was doing a quiz. I decided to have a go as well. I don't know if I'm stupid or something, but I kept failing the quiz. It is unnecessarily hard. Nidorina can only be female? Is Nidorina the female or Nidorino the female? Ah, man. Kurt, the ball creator, uses apricots as ingredients. Duh. Ah, what? In Professor Oak's popular show, is he on with Mary? I don't know. Who's Mary? Whatever. Ah, man. Eventually, I did get all the questions of the quiz right, and I got the ability to listen to the radio, which I guess is cool. But Whitney was more happy than I was, and she ran back to the gym. I followed her because I want my 3rd badge. Samantha and I ran through the streets of Goldenrod City and made our way to the Pokemon gym. I talked to my biggest fan and supporter, and he gave me some useful advice on the upcoming battle. I fumbled my way around the gym until I got into a battle with the first gym trainer. Beauty Victoria sent out a pathetic looking Sentret, and I led with Samantha. Samantha got hit by a weak quick attack and then used Cut a couple of times to take out the Sentret. Victoria sent out another pathetic Sentret, and I took it out with the same strategy. Victoria sent out yet another Sentret, a bit higher level this time. Samantha did her best, but I could tell she was definitely losing the battle. She got hit with a quick attack and almost got knocked out. She retaliated with Cut, and then I decided to switch her out. I didn't want the stinky Sentret to get the satisfaction, so I sent out Steven instead. The Sentret used quick attack, which barely did any damage. Steven used quick attack himself, which easily took out the Sentret. We defeated Victoria, took her money, and continued walking through the gym. We saw Whitney from above, and we were ready to beat more women in battle. We soon found ourselves facing another gym trainer. I'm challenged by Beauty Samantha, and I send out Samantha. What are the odds? Samantha the Sandshrew gets hit by a scratch and then uses Cut. The Meowth bites my Samantha, and then Samantha uses Cut again. Samantha gets bitten again and survives on 1 HP, but flinches. Ugh. I use a super potion to heal up Samantha because I don't want her to die. Samantha gets bitten 2 more times and flinches again. Luckily, the Meowth uses Scratch and I don't flinch. Samantha uses Cut and knocks out the Meowth. Samantha levels up to level 16 and Samantha the trainer sends out a Meowth.
Another one.
Samantha the Sandshrew gets hit with a scratch and then uses Sand Attack to hopefully make the Meowth miss all its attacks. It didn't work, the Meowth used Slash and got a critical hit to knock out Samantha. I sent out Doretta for her debut battle. She used Dragon Rage, which does a set 40 damage, which easily took out the Meowth. I walked around the gym with Doretta following me, and I gotta be honest, I got lost and I didn't know where to go. After about half a minute of fumbling around, I eventually found out where I was supposed to go and got into another gym trainer battle. Lass Carey sent out a Snubble to take on Doretta the Dratini. Doretta used Dragon Rage, which did a lot of damage and almost took out the Snubble in one hit. The Snubble missed its attack and Dratini finished the fight with another Dragon Rage. We took 2 steps forward and found ourselves in another battle. Lass Kathy sent out a Jigglypuff and Doretta spammed Dragon Rage. When it was down, Kathy sent out another Jigglypuff and Doretta used Dragon Rage again. Luckily, Jigglypuff missed its attack and Doretta finished it off with another Dragon Rage. Doretta leveled up to level 16 and Kathy sent out yet another Jigglypuff. Doretta spammed Dragon Rage some more until it was defeated and we won the battle. I checked in on Doretta and she was doing good. I walked up to Whitney and challenged her to a battle. She was talking about how she only likes Pokemon because other people were into it, and I thought I'd teach her a lesson for jumping on the bandwagon like that. The bandwagon jumper and gym leader Whitney started off with a Clefairy, and I sent out William to battle first. The Clefairy used Metronome, which uses a random move, and it used Haze, which did absolutely nothing. William used Rock Smash, which didn't do a lot of damage for a super effective move, but it did lower the Clefairy's defense. The Clefairy wasted another turn using Mimic, and William used Rock Smash again, which did some decent damage this time. The Clefairy unfortunately missed a Will-O-Wisp, and William finished off the Clefairy with a third Rock Smash. Whitney sent out her ace, the infamous Miltank. Miltank stomped on William, and William flinched. Miltank stomped on William again and knocked her out. William the Whooper, no! I sent out Doretta to get sweet, sweet revenge. Unfortunately, the Miltank stomped on Doretta as well, and Doretta flinched. The Miltank did a second stomp and knocked out Doretta. Oh, Doretta! Someone repair the drill dozer! I sent in Steven to clutch up. The Miltank used Attract, and Steven fell in love. Steven couldn't even move because he was so in love with the Miltank. I made the hard choice to switch out Steven and send in Tim the Togepi to be used as a sacrificial lamb. The Miltank used Stomp, and Tim fulfilled his purpose. I sent out Steven again, who was no longer in love and ready to fight. The Miltank used Stomp yet again, and it did quite a lot of damage. Steven used Flame Wheel, and it didn't do nearly as much as I'd hoped. The infamous Miltank stomped on Steven again, and Steven used Flame Wheel once more. The Miltank used Attract, and Steven yet again fell in love. Luckily, the love didn't run very deep, and Steven pulled off a Flame Wheel. Steven got stomped on again, he almost died, and he flinched. I had to use a potion, or it would have been completely over for Steven. The Miltank kept spamming Stomp, and when it was Steven's turn again, he couldn't move because he was in love. The Miltank used Stomp again, and Steven flinched. I didn't have any more potions, and was ready to let it happen. Luckily, the Miltank missed its rollout. Steven was still in love, but miraculously he pulled off the Flame Wheel. It was a big hit, and it knocked out the Miltank. Steven did it! He clutched up, and he leveled up to level 21. After the battle, Whitney was crying, and it really is the only acceptable response when losing to me. One of the gym trainers talked to me and told me she was just mad cause she's bad. I talked to her again, and she gave me the gym badge. After teaching her a lesson, I left the gym, and on my way to the Pokemon Center, I got a phone call from my mom. Not again, not again, not again, no! I made it to the Pokemon Center and healed up my guys after a long, well-fought battle. William and I did some strolling around the big city, and while seeing the sights, we found a little shop tucked away in a corner that sold bikes. We entered the store. I talked to the old man inside the shop, and he told me his woes about no one buying bicycles. He offered me one for free if I help advertise by riding around the town. And that's just a deal I couldn't refuse. I immediately hopped on my bike outside the store and showed off to the people of Goldenrod City. Yeah, you like this, fellas? You like what you see? Get your own bike today! I got bored of advertising pretty quick and left Goldenrod City. I found myself on Route 35 and got into a battle straight away. Picnicker Kim only had a Vulpix, which was a bad matchup against William the Whooper. William the Whooper used Water Gun, which was super effective and did big damage. The Vulpix used Quick Attack, and William used another Water Gun, which finished off the Vulpix. William leveled up to level 17 after demolishing Picnic at Kim. While walking away, I got another phone call from my mum. You suck, you suck, you suck. I get it, you're spending my money, go away. William and I continue along the path and we run past a dude who doesn't want to battle, so we talk to him. It turns out his name is Cameron the photographer and he wants to take a photo of us. I'm all for it. I walk out and I pose with all my guys. We thank the homie for the picture, then run along the route until we find ourselves in another battle. Camper Elliot sends out his own sand shrew to try and take on my whooper. Whoop, whoop. William uses a couple of super effective water guns and quickly takes out the sand shrew. I switch out William and send in Doretta to take on Elliot's Marl. Doretta used Dragon Rage, which did quite a bit of damage but didn't quite knock out the Marl. The Marl wasted its turn with a tail whip. Doretta repeated Dragon Rage, which took out the Marl. I took one step to the left and got into another battle. Picnic Brook only had one Pokemon and it was a Pikachu. I sent out William. The Pikachu used a pathetic quick attack, and William used Mud Shot, which was super effective. William used another super effective Mud Shot, which knocked out the Pikachu and won us the battle. After beating those two losers, I briefly continued on the path and got into another battle. Camper Ivan sent out a Diglett, and Whooper made short work of it with a strong, super effective water gun. I subbed out William and sent out Doretta as Ivan sent out his Zubat. Doretta made short work of the Zubat as well with a Dragon Rage. Ivan then sent out another Diglett, which Doretta took out with another Dragon Rage. I continued and decided to battle the next trainer along the path. Juggler Irwin looked pretty cool but had 4 Pokemon. He sent out a very threatening level 2 Voltorb. William used Headbutt, which quickly took out the Voltorb. Irwin sent out another Voltorb which tripled in level at level 6. It outsped me somehow and used Tackle, then William used Headbutt again, which took it out. Unfortunately, William got paralyzed as the Voltorb fainted. On the plus side, William leveled up to level 18. I switched out the paralyzed William and sent out Doretta in her place. Irwin sent out, to no surprise, another Voltorb. Doretta quickly used Dragon Rage, which took it out.
Oh no!
Irwin sent out yet another Voltorb. It outsped me and used Sonic Boom. Doretta used yet another big Dragon Rage, which took out the Voltorb in one hit. After the battle, Irwin asked for my phone number, and I thought I'd give it to him to try and teach him not to catch the same Pokemon over and over again. It's a stupid strategy, man. Why do so many people do this? I soon got into another battle. Fire Breather Walt sent out a Magmar, which was cool to see. I sent out Samantha. The Magmar used Ember, and Samantha used Cut. Unfortunately, Samantha got hit by Magmar's ability and got burned. Samantha dodged Magmar's attack and used Cut once more. The Magmar used Smokescreen, which lowered my accuracy, and it came into effect straight away because Samantha missed her Cut. Luckily, the Magmar missed his attack too, and Samantha used Swift because it's a move that can't miss. It's my lucky day because the Magmar missed again and Samantha used Swift again. I'm pretty sure the Magmar's throwing at this point because it lowered my accuracy again and Samantha pulled off another Swift and knocked out the Magmar. At this point, Samantha was gravely injured, so I switched her out for Steven. Walt sent out another Magmar. Steven used Quick Attack, which didn't do a whole lot, and then I decided Flame Wheel would probably do more damage, even though it's not very effective. Steven got hit by Magmar's Ember, and then used another Flame Wheel. Steven finished off the Magmar with one final Quick Attack. Fire Breather Walt asked for my phone number, and screw it, I've been giving it to everyone else, so why not? Afterwards, I walk forward, have a quick yarn with the police, and enter the building in front of me. When inside, I ran to the left and found myself outside the Pokeathlon Dome. I ran forward and bumped into an old man. He wanted me to compete in the Pokeathlon. And I totally would have, but I remember as a kid, I spent hours and hours here and wasted heaps and heaps of time. I got a stinky old professor to prove wrong, and I don't got time for it. I rode away from the dome, but thought maybe I'd come back later. For some reason, I decided to enter a random bug-catching tournament that was on. I don't really know why. The opportunity just came up, and you can't say no to opportunities like this. Steven and I found ourselves in the national park, and soon we were waist-high in the long grass looking for bug-type Pokemon. I spent a long time in the grass battling everything and taking everything out until I ran into a Scyther. I decided to try and catch it. I don't really want him on the team, but I want to try and win the bug catching contest. Steven used a second quick attack, which kinda weakened him, and got hit by a false swipe, which was a critical hit. I threw one of the sport balls I was given at the Scyther, and hooray I guess, because I caught it. While in the long grass, I ran into another encounter. This time it was a Pinsir, a Pokemon I would have been down to have on the team. The first sport ball I throw doesn't work at all because I didn't weaken the Pinsir first. Steven used quick attack and it really didn't do a lot of damage, especially considering Steven is 10 levels higher than the Pinsir. Steven hit the Pinsir with another quick attack and then again with 2 more quick attacks. Steven was starting to get injured from the ongoing battle, but I threw another sports ball. That didn't work even though the Pinsir was injured. Steven got injured further from the Pinsir's seismic toss and took even more damage from the bind it was in. I tried my luck with one more sports ball. Come on, please, come on. Okay. Uh-oh. No, Steven, hang on, oh, no. Yeah, Steven fainted, and I didn't have any other Pokemon with me, and I dropped $800, and I blacked out. I came 2 at the Bug Catching Contest's awards ceremony, and I came 3rd. I got 1 citrus berry for all my effort, which I guess was pretty good, and I named the Scyther not Steven, but Steve. Pretty creative, huh? I walked away. I feel like I got cheated, but whatever. I left the national park and found myself on Route 36. I walked over to an apricorn tree and picked out a blue apricorn. I walked downwards along the path and got into a battle. Psychic Mark sent out an Abra and I sent out Steven. Steven used Flame Wheel, which demolished the Abra in a single hit. Mark sent out his second Pokemon, a Kadabra. Steven used Flame Wheel again and demolished the Kadabra in a single hit as well. I could tell Mark was scared as he sent out his third Pokemon. Another weak Abra stood in front of Steven. Steven used Flame Wheel one more time and connected a big hit. The result was the same. Another Pokemon fell to Steven's might. On a positive note, Steven gained some XP and leveled up to level 24. I continued along the path and turned back for a second because I thought I recognized someone. Wait, was that? Never mind. I continued walking and talked to the lady next to the blocked path. She told me to sprinkle the obstacle with a watering can, and I would have if I had one, but I interacted with it and nothing happened. I had to go back to Goldenrod City to get the watering can, so me and Steven started running back. After quite a long run, Steven and I eventually made it back to Goldenrod City. Before we started looking for the watering can, I decided to hit the Pokemon Center to heal up all my fellas who were hurt from battle. I reached the Pokemon Center, walked inside, and healed up everyone. I then walked over and interacted with the PC and deposited Tim the Togepi and Steve the Scyther, as I didn't think I'd be using them. Samantha and I left the Pokemon Center, and after a bit of riding around on my bike, I found the flower shop. When I got inside, I talked to the lady in charge of the shop, and she was so impressed that I beat Whitney, the gym leader, that she gave me a Squirt bottle.
Hey, yo!
I left the shop, left Goldenrod City, ran along Route 35, cut through the national park, and made my way along Route 36 until I was at the blocked path again. I squirted on the odd tree with the Squirt bottle, and it didn't like it very much, and started to attack me. It was a cheeky looking pseudo-wudo, and I thought I'd teach it a lesson for being a pain in the ass and blocking the path. I sent out Samantha, and after one poison sting, I quickly realized she wasn't the guy for the job. I switched her out and sent in William for the strong type advantage. William the Wooper got hit by a rock throw, which did quite a bit of damage for being not very effective. The annoying pseudo-wudo used Flail, and William used Mudshot, which didn't do as much damage as I was hoping for a super effective move. It did, however, slow the pseudo-wudo down. The pseudo-wudo used another surprisingly strong rock throw. William used Water Gun, which again did a lot less damage than I was hoping for a super effective move. William gets hit by another rock throw and almost passes away. William uses a desperate Mudshot, which almost takes out the pseudo-wudo, but not quite. Fortunately, it does slow the pseudo-wudo down again. William could now outspeed the pseudo-wudo. He used Mudshot and took out his opponent. After the fight to the death, the girl behind me said she was entertained and gave me some berry pots in return. She sadistically walks away, and I'm kinda stunned by her sociopathic behavior. I decide to explore the newly opened path in hopes to find a new city. I find a hyper potion on the floor of the forest. Samantha and I continue running until we come across a sign with some trainer tips. It's kind of a weird situational thing to have on a sign, but whatever. While on Route 37, I challenge these two children to a double battle. The twins Tori and Till send out Amaril and Amareep. I send out Samantha and William. I switch out William because he's still hurt from the past battle with Pseudo-Wudo. I send out Steven instead. Samantha used Cut on the Marl, which doesn't do a lot, and then gets hit by a water gun, which is not only super effective, but lands a critical hit. The Mareep used Growl, which lowered everyone's attack. Steven used Flame Wheel on the Marl, which did a pathetic amount of damage. Samantha used Cut on the Marl as well, which was also pathetic. The Marl used Water Gun on Steven, which also didn't really do a lot of damage. The Mareep used Tackle on Samantha, and Samantha somehow survived. Steven used Quick Attack on the Marl, and Samantha used Cut, but it somehow survived as well. Marl retaliated with Rollout, which again didn't do a lot. The Mareep used Tackle, which hit Samantha and knocked her out. I sent back in William for some reason, and Steven used Quick Attack on the Marl to knock it out as well. William, being slow as shit, surprisingly outsped the Mareep and used Mudshot, which did quite a bit of damage. The Mareep wasted its turn with a Growl, then William hit it with another Mudshot, which took it out. I took $500 off the children, and then got into another double battle, almost straight away. Callie and Cassandra sent out a Clefable and Wigglytuff. I sent out a healed Samantha and William. I switched out Samantha straight away and subbed her in for Steven. The Clefable wasted its turn and the Wigglytuff pounded Steven. Hey yo! William hit the Wigglytuff with a Rock Smash for being so freaky. Steven also wasn't happy he got SA'd, so he used a strong Flame Wheel on the Wigglytuff, which knocked it out. The Clefable was also kinda freaky and spanked Steven a few times for knocking out her friend. William stood up for her boy with a Rock Smash, and then my opponent sent out another Clefable. Steven used Flame Wheel, then both William and Steven got spanked a few times. William used Rock Smash again, and Steven used Flame Wheel, which knocked out one of the Clefables. The last Clefable missed its spanking session and then got hit by a Rock Smash. Steven hit the Clefable with another Flame Wheel and knocked it out. Callie sent out one last Wigglytuff. Steven used Flame Wheel, William got pounded, and then used Rock Smash. Unfortunately, Steven couldn't move because he was in love, and William got pounded again before using one final Rock Smash, which knocked out the Wigglytuff and won me the fight. I kept running and almost made it to the next city, but made a quick detour to pick some apricorns. I had to run around to get back to the city, but I got stopped by another battle. Psychic Greg only had one Pokemon, a dopey looking Drowsy. Samantha used Sand Attack, which didn't really do anything because the Drowsy hit its hypnosis anyway. Samantha couldn't do anything because she was snoozing and then got hit by Drowsy's Dream Eater. Samantha didn't wake up and got hit by another big Dream Eater. I subbed in Steven to save the day, and he was unaffected by Drowsy's Dream Eater. Steven hit the Drowsy with a Flame Wheel, which did a lot of damage and knocked out the Drowsy in one hit. After demolishing Greg and his dopey Drowsy, Samantha and I ran all the way around and eventually made our way to Ekritique City. The first thing we did when arriving was hit the Pokemon Center and healed up my guys. After healing at the Pokemon Center, we headed straight to the Pokemon Gym to try and battle Morty. Firstly, I have no idea if the gym is meant to be this dark, but I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be, and I'm informed that Morty's in the Burn Tower, and if I want to go see him, I'll have to meet him there. Samantha and I immediately made our way up the street and found ourselves soon entering the Burn Tower. Once inside the tower, we could see the legendary trio from above, and I soon ran into a man whose name was Usain. He was really fangirling about the legendary trio down below, and I'm not really big on the old super fan trope, so I didn't like him, okay? He was giving Al vibes. While in the tower, I bumped into Morty, the gym leader, as well, and he was only there supporting his friend Usain, and no friend of Usain is a friend of mine. I can't wait to wipe the floor with you, Morty. I kept running through the tower and ran into Jim as well. Hey buddy, long time no see! Do you forgive me for the police thing yet? Hey, I found out if you just fight the police, they leave you alone, man. It happened to me outside of Goldenrod City, I swear, man. He wasn't listening to any of it, and he challenged me to a battle. Jim had 4 Pokemon, and I had 4 Pokemon, but I was ready to fight. Jim sent out his Ghastly, and I sent out Samantha. The Ghastly sacrificed half its health to put a curse on Samantha. Samantha used Sand Attack. Samantha took some big damage from the Ghastly's curse.
Oh no!
And I switched her out because things weren't looking good. I sent in Doretta instead, and Ghastly missed its Confused Ray. The Ghastly tried to end it all with another curse, but it somehow survived. Doretta used Dragon Rage to finish it off. Doretta took some damage from the curse from before, and I decided to switch her out so it would no longer affect me. I sent out William instead. Jim sent out his ace, Croconaw. Croconaw wasted its turn, slowing me down because William's already pathetically slowed. William used Rock Smash, which didn't do a lot of damage, but it did lower the Croconaw's defense. The Croconaw wasted another turn and William used Headbutt. I think Jim might not be the best trainer because he keeps using Scary Face instead of attacking a Pokemon that's already slower than him. William used Mudshot to keep chipping away at the Croconaw's health. The Croconaw finally decided to use an attacking move and hit William with Ice Fang. It did a ton of damage. Not only was it a critical hit, but it froze me. What are the odds? William couldn't move because she was frozen and she got hit by Croconaw's bite, which left her on 1 HP. William got hit with another bite and got knocked out. Rest in peace, William. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. I sent out Doretta to put in some work. Doretta used Dragon Rage on the already weakened Croconaw, which did a lot of damage and knocked it out. Doretta leveled up to level 18. Angry Jim sent out his level 20 Zubat, which missed its Supersonic. Doretta used Dragon Rage again, which did some serious damage to the Zubat. The Zubat hit its Supersonic the second time round and confused Doretta. Doretta was unfazed and used Dragon Rage anyway, which knocked out the Zubat. I sub out Doretta so she can have a rest and sub in my main man Steven to take on Jim's last Pokemon, Magnemite. Steven uses Flame Wheel and knocks out the Magnemite. Steven leveled up to level 26 and Jim gave me over $1,000 for winning. Jim was still pissed off, but I could tell he was coming around. He doesn't hate me that much. See you later, Jim. Have a nice day. I decided to leave the Burning Tower as well as my guys were hurting, and I made my way to the Pokemon Center. I quickly healed up and then went back to the Burning Tower. When I got inside, I wanted to get this item, but I had to go around and I looked like a fool walking into the wall. I walked away after the wall defeated me, and I soon found myself in a random encounter. It was a wild level 15 Rattata, and Samantha was up. Samantha got hit with a quick attack, then used Cut. The Rattata used Bite, and Samantha flinched. The Rattata used Bite again and got a critical hit, and Samantha flinched. The lucky stupid Rattata used Focus Energy, and Samantha got off another Cut, which knocked out the Rattata. Evil! Evil! Evil, man! I ran past the ladder and got into a trainer battle with Fire Breather Ned. He sent out a Coughing to battle Samantha the Sandshrew. Samantha missed a Cut, and the Coughing used Assurance somehow, even though it has no hands. Samantha hit its Cut this time, and Ned's Coughing used Assurance again. Samantha used Cut again, and this time got a critical hit. Shout out Samantha, you the GOAT! Samantha got hit by a relatively weak tackle, and used Cut one more time to finish off the Coughing. Ned sent out a Growlithe, and it lowered my attack with Intimidate. I decided to switch out Samantha and send in William so I could have the type advantage. The Growlithe hit William with a not very effective Ember. The Growlithe used Odor Sleuth, which I don't really know what it does, but it identified me. William used Water Gun, which is super effective and did a decent amount of damage. The Growlithe lowered William's defense with Leer, and William used Mudshot, which was also super effective. It did good damage and knocked out the Growlithe. Ned sent out a second Coughing. The Coughing used Assurance again somehow, then William used Water Gun, Headbutt, and another Water Gun to take out the Coughing. I got $500 for winning, walked across a precarious plank and found an antidote, then soon got into another battle. Fire Breather Richard only had one Pokemon, and it was a Charmeleon. I sent out Samantha and immediately switched her out for Steven instead. Steven missed a quick attack, and then the Charmeleon lowered Steven's accuracy even more. Steven luckily hit 2 quick attacks and then got hit with an Ember. Steven used quick attack again, which did enough damage to knock out the Charmeleon. Samantha leveled up to level 19 and learned Fury Swipes. We continued through the tower until we came across a breakable rock. William broke the rock with Rock Smash, and I found an HP up. I had Doretta following me now, and Doretta and I ran back around the tower and went down the ladder. I took a couple of steps towards the legendary trio, and they all bounced away. Suicune stopped bouncing to look at me before continuing to bounce away. The dude from before you seen came down the ladder and talked to me. He was still fangirling over Suicune, and I could tell he was super jealous that Suicune stopped to look at me. He soon left, and I was thankful for it. I decided it was time to go as well, went up the ladder, and left the burning tower. After healing up my guys at the Pokemon Center, I decided to go to the Pokemon Gym and challenge Morty. When I got inside, I talked to my biggest fan and he gave me some good advice not to use physical moves. He didn't, however, explain why it's so completely pitch black in here. I didn't let the darkness stop me though. I ran forward and got into a battle with the first gym trainer. Georgina sent out a Ghastly, and I sent out Doretta. The Ghastly used Mean Look to prevent me from escaping, but I wasn't going anywhere. Doretta used Dragon Rage and took out the Ghastly in a single hit. Doretta leveled up to level 19, and Georgina sent out another Ghastly. The Ghastly uses Spite, which is a move only jackasses use, and Doretta takes out this Ghastly with one Dragon Rage as well. Georgina has 3 more of the exact same Ghastly. Doretta uses Dragon Rage on all 3 of them and takes them all out. Doretta levels up to level 20 for the hard work. I run a bit further into the gym and get into another battle. Grace has a level 20 Haunter, and I send out William. The Haunter used Curse on William, which cut half its own health, and then William used a very weak water gun. The Curse Haunter put on William took a quarter of her health away. The Haunter then used Mean Look, so I couldn't escape or switch out even if I wanted to. William used another water gun on the Haunter, and I was hoping for a crit, but no dice. William suffered even more damage from the Haunter's curse. The Haunter used Nightshade, and I'm surprised William even survived. William used another water gun, and the Haunter barely survived as well. Unfortunately, William was taken away from us way too soon from the curse. I sent out Doretta to finish off the job William started. The Haunter wasted its turn using Mean Look, and Doretta used her first ever Twister, which did the remaining damage and took out Haunter. I switched out Doretta and sent out Steven to take on Grace's second Haunter. Steven used Flame Wheel, which did a ton of damage. Haunter used Nightshade, which was also relatively effective. Steven used Flame Wheel again, and it knocked out the Haunter and won me the battle. I jumped into the abyss and made my way out of the gym. I took a quick walk to the Pokemon Center, healed my guys, and then walked back to the gym. I fumbled around in the dark for a little bit until I found another gym trainer battle. Medium Edith only had 1 Pokemon, a level 22 Haunter. Doretta got hit with a Sucker Punch and then used Dragon Rage, which did a lot of damage. Doretta got hit with another Sucker Punch and used Dragon Rage again, which took out the Haunter. We got given some money for winning the battle. I soon found my way to the last gym trainer. Her name was Martha, and she sent out a Ghastly. The Ghastly foolishly used Mean Look on Doretta. Doretta used Dragon Rage and knocked it out in 1 hit. Doretta leveled up to level 21 and learned a new move, Slam. I switched out Doretta and sent in Steven, as Martha sent out a Haunter as her second Pokemon. Steven used a strong Flame Wheel against the Haunter, and the Haunter decided it had had enough and ended itself with Curse. I decided to switch out Steven because I didn't want to deal with the Curse and sent in William instead. Martha sent out a Ghastly, and it used Nightshade on William. William used a weak water gun, and the Ghastly wasted its turn using Mean Look. William used another water gun. The Ghastly used a Confuse Ray, which confused William. William was out of his mind and hit himself in the face. The Ghastly hit William with a Nightshade. William, even though confused, used water gun, and the Ghastly used another Nightshade, which knocked out William. I sent out my man Steven after William went down, and he used Flame Wheel, which finished off the Ghastly. I hit the Pokemon Center after the battle, went back to the gym, and challenged Morty, the gym leader. No friend of you seen is a friend of mine. You're going down, buddy. I hope you're ready to get beat. You're gonna get destroyed. I'm gonna annihilate you. I'm gonna tear you a new one. I hope you're ready. Yeah, I might have been talking too much smack because as soon as Morty sent out his Gengar, he pretty much wiped my entire team by using Shadow Ball over and over again. I blacked out and soon found myself at the Pokemon Center. Damn it. I left the Pokemon Center and it was obvious I needed more training. I entered the Ekritik Dance Theater. When I got inside, there was some commotion. A member of Team Rocket was arguing with one of the ladies. He wanted her to do a hula dance instead of something so serious. Yeah, he's right. Can you do a hula dance? That'll be sick. He starts to do his own dance, and he's being a bit rude, so I walk up on stage and I challenge him to a battle. The Team Rocket grunt only has 1 pathetically weak level 12 coughing. I send out Doretta. Doretta used a quick Dragon Rage, which easily took out the coughing, and sent the grunt running away. I talked to the lady and she was thankful and all, but when I asked her to do a hula dance, she still wasn't down. While on my way out, I got stopped by an old man. He was impressed at how courageous I was to just ask for a hula dance like that. He gave me HM3, which was surf. I immediately taught it to William the Whooper to replace water gun. I then left the theatre. After leaving the dance theatre, I decided to leave Critique City altogether. I can't beat Morty the gym leader as I am now, so I decided to go to Goldenrod City to see if I could buy good items at the department store. It was quite a long walk, but Doretta and I were thankful for the fresh air and sunshine. Soon enough, Doretta and I were entering Goldenrod City. When we got into the city, the first thing we did was go to the radio station and check the lottery ticket. We didn't win. We went to the department store right after for our main objective. We checked around all the floors but didn't really find anything helpful. I did, however, try my luck at the item drawer on the top floor, but unfortunately I got third prize and only won a berry. We took the elevator down to the first floor and left the department store with nothing to show for it except a useless berry. I decided to check out Goldenrod City's underground. When I got into the building, I saw a Marl looking awfully confused, and it turned out to be Lyra's Marl looking awfully confused. Lyra gave me a fashion case and walked away. I ran down the stairs and soon found out there were trainers down here wanting to battle. Super Nerd Eric was my first opponent and he sent out a low-level Grimer. It got absolutely annihilated with a Dragon Rage. Eric sent out a second Grimer and the exact same thing happened. I took $500 from the nerd and immediately got into another battle. This dude dressed up as a dinosaur sent out a Licky Tongue. It somehow survived the Dragon Rage, but fortunately, it missed its supersonic. Doretta used Slam to finish off the Licky Tongue. I continued through the underground and ran into a dude who works at the Pokemon Salon. He wants to cut my Pokemon's hair, and none of my Pokemon really have hair, so I said no. I continued running and found myself in another battle. It was another Mega Nerd. He had a Magnemite, which immediately went down to Dragon Rage. The nerd had a few more Pokemon that all went down to Dragon Rage too. I took a couple steps forward and got into another battle. It was another dude in a dinosaur costume named Donald. He sent out a Slowpoke, which got hit with a Dragon Rage and got knocked out. He sent out another Slowpoke and the same exact thing happened. I ran to the right and talked to a dude behind the desk and he offered to let me dress up my Pokemon. And who am I to refuse an offer like that? Ta-da! Check out Doretta! After making Doretta look absolutely sick, I talked to the guy at the other counter and he offers to take our picture. Smile, guys, smile! William, you call that a smile? What the heck? I decide I've wasted too much time making memories or whatever and I leave the underground. When I get outside, I figure there's nothing left for me here and I leave Goldenrod City. I take the long run/bike ride all the way back to Critique City. I figure the next best course of action is breaking and entering. After going inside a random house, I talk to the guy inside, and he's super excited about being adventurous. I totally share his adventurous spirit, and he gives me a drowsing machine in return. I go inside the burned tower to test out my new drowsing machine. I find an ether, an ultra ball, and an antidote. Doretta also levels up to level 23 from one of the many random encounters in the tower. I leave and decide to use the drowsing machine to scavenge around the city as well. Right next to the tower, I find an ether. I also find an ultra ball, a hyper potion, and even a rare candy. I still need to train my Pokemon more, so I leave Critique City again. I find myself on Route 42 next to Mount Mortar, and I pick up a TM for Shadowclaw. While on my way into the cave, I get bumped into by a hiker. I threaten him with a lawsuit, and he tries to bribe me with an HM to not go through with it. But yeah, right, I'm gonna get a lot of money from you and send it all to my mum so she can keep buying useless shit. The hiker walks away sad. He's probably going to hire a lawyer or something, and I enter the cave. When I get inside Mount Mortar, Doretta and I start running through the cave. Apparently we're cursed with super frequent random encounters because every 2 steps there's a stupid Zubat. Luckily Doretta's Dragon Rage is still strong enough to take out everything in one hit. Doretta and I continue deeper through the cave, run up a few cases of stairs, and then climb a ladder. At the top of the ladder we run down and we find ourselves an ether. We then backtrack and then run along through a different part of the cave. While running, Doretta and I eventually make it to a hole in the wall and we go through it. We continue running through the cave, occasionally stopping for a random encounter. Luckily, Doretta can take everything out easily, and we continue through the cave until we reach the exit. I arrive back on Route 42 and talk to a bored-looking fisherman who's down to battle. The guy's name is Tully, which is kind of a strange name, and he sends out a quillfish. The quillfish used Minimize, which is a jerk move to use. Even so, Doretta somehow still hit its Dragon Rage, which did a big chunk of damage. Doretta missed her second Dragon Rage as the quillfish used Harden. The next turn was a complete waste of time because we both missed our attacks, but the turn after, Doretta hit her Slam, which didn't quite take out Quillfish because of all the Hardens. The quillfish used a pitiful water gun, which didn't do a whole lot, and Doretta pulled off another Slam, which poisoned her but took out the quillfish. Doretta grew to level 24 from the battle. After the battle, Tully asked for my phone number, and I agreed to it on the condition that he catches me a big fish every now and then. Remember guys, friendships aren't real unless they're transactional. I ran to the right and very quickly got into another battle. It was another dude wearing a dinosaur costume, and it's kinda weird there's so many of these guys. He had a Nidorina which Doretta slammed. The Nidorina used Poison Sting, which did some damage, but unfortunately poisoned Doretta. Doretta hit the Nidorina with Slam again, which knocked it out. I swapped out Doretta for William so she didn't get hurt from poison. The strange dinosaur dude sent out a Nidorino. It hit William with a Poison Sting, and then William used Surf. The Nidorino wasted its turn with a Focus Energy, and William used Surf again. William took a kick to the face, and then used Surf one more time, which knocked out the Nidorino. William leveled up to level 20 and after the battle started evolving. Oh, William! My man! I mean my girl, sorry for misgendering you, but oh, Lee! Oh, yeah! William the Whooper evolved into William the Quagsire, which doesn't sound as cool, and she doesn't look as cool, but she's stronger. She's a bit stronger. Big money. We pretty much straight away got into another battle. Hiker Benjamin sent out a Diglett, which was a bad matchup against William. The Diglett used Magnitude 7, which did some damage, and William used a super effective Surf. Benjamin sent out a Doug Trio this time, but after a Magnitude 9 from the Doug Trio, the result was the same. William used Surf again, which took out the Doug Trio in one hit. Benjamin's last Pokemon was a Geodude. William used Surf again and knocked it out. I took some of Benjamin's money, continued running along the path, and found myself in Mahogany Town. There was a jerk standing in front of the gym, so I couldn't go inside, so I went to the Pokemon Center instead. I healed up my guys and left the Pokemon Center with William. I decided to leave Mahogany Town and found myself on Route 43 and quickly in a battle. Camper Spencer sent out a Sandshrew and I sent out William. Quite frankly, the Sandshrew didn't stand a chance. William leveled up to level 21 and then Spencer sent out a Zubat. William somehow outsped the Zubat and used Surf to knock it out. Spencer sent out his last Pokemon, a Sandslash, and it pulled off a Swift. William used another Surf and took it out. After the battle, we kept following the path and found ourselves entering a little building. Inside, there were 2 Team Rocket members and they charged me $1,000 to walk through. Complete scam in my opinion. I left after getting ripped off, found myself on Route 43 again, and picked up a Max Ether. I turned around and ran through the long grass and found myself in a battle. It was another dude in a dinosaur costume. How do all these guys have the same dinosaur costume? I'm actually curious. Is there like a super popular dinosaur costume shop? Why is it so popular? I don't understand. William used Mudshot, got a critical hit, and knocked out the Nidorina. William leveled up to level 22, and the weird dinosaur dude sent out a Nidorino. The Nidorino kicked the absolute crap out of William a couple of times, and then William used a big Mudshot, which did a lot of damage, got another critical hit, and knocked out the Nidorino. After the battle, the dude yapped for a bit, and then he asked for my phone number. And I'm curious where these guys get these costumes from, so I gave it to him. Hopefully he can answer my question. Soon after, I talked to this girl by the lake, and she wanted to fight me. Picnic at Tiffany only had one Pokemon, a Clefairy. William used Surf, which didn't quite knock it out, and the Clefairy tried to put me to sleep but missed. William used Rock Smash, which was super effective, and knocked out the Clefairy. After the battle, Tiffany assumed I liked Clefairy as much as her and asked for my number. She definitely misunderstood what I said though. I said I like beating up Clefairy. I don't actually like the Pokemon, I just like beating them up. William the Quagsire and I continued running along the route and got into another battle with another dude wearing a dinosaur costume. He sent out a Slowbro. William used Mudshot, which didn't do a whole lot of damage, but I've seen worse. The Slowbro used Growl, which lowered my attack. William used Mudshot again for some more decent damage, and then the Slowbro used Disable to stop me from using Mudshot. William used Rock Smash instead, which barely did any damage, but it did lower the Slowbro's defense. Slowbro used Growl, which further lowered William's attack. William used Surf, the Slowbro survived, and wasted its turn with a Growl. William hit another Surf, knocked out the Slowbro, and leveled up to level 23. After the fight, William and I kept running, talked to another guy, and got into another battle. Bruh, why are all these guys wearing dinosaur costumes? I don't understand, I don't get it. Somebody please tell me. The dinosaur dude had a Nidoking, which looked a lot more scary than it was. William used a super effective Mudshot, which did a ton of damage. William repeated the super effective Mudshot, which knocked out the Nidoking. I took a grand off the dinosaur dude and left him be. William and I soon made it to the Lake of Rage and entered the fishing guru's house. I went up to the guy and talked to him, and he started yapping about the tales of yesteryear, and I gotta be honest, I don't care. I was just hoping to get a new fishing rod. I was a bit disappointed. I left the house and talked to the lady meandering next to it, and she was talking about a red Gyarados, and I walked to the lake, and there it was, a shiny Gyarados. I would swim out to it, but I have to beat the 4th gym badge before I can use Surf. Seeing the red Gyarados makes me realize I've probably had enough training and should probably take on Morty again. William the Quagsire and I ran back along the path we came. We entered the little building we got scammed in before, and I got scammed again. I eventually made it to Mahogany Town, made a quick pit stop at the Pokemon Center, and healed up my team. I immediately left Mahogany Town and found my way inside Mount Mortar. We continued through the cave as normal, only stopping for the occasional Zubat encounter, which we easily took care of. We kept going through the cave and decided to explore a bit and got into another battle. It was yet another dude in a dinosaur costume. And maybe I shouldn't be jumping on these guys. The dinosaur outfits do look pretty sick, and dressing up like a dinosaur is a cool and based thing to do. William used Mudshot on the Nidoking, which did a ton of damage. Fortunately, it lowered the Nidoking's speed. William was now faster than the Nidoking and used Mudshot again. William leveled up to level 24. The dinosaur dude Harrison sent out a Nidoqueen as his second Pokemon, and it used Tail Whip, which did practically nothing. William used Mudshot, it did a lot of damage again, and lowered the Nidoqueen's speed. William now outsped the Nidoqueen and used Mudshot to finish it off. After the battle, William and I continued exploring the cave. We climbed up some stairs, then climbed a ladder. We ran back down some stairs and picked up a revive. We backtracked and went back down the ladder we came up. We continued through the cave until we came across a boulder. Samantha used strength so we could push it around, and we pushed it out the way. After pushing the boulder, I was informed that it's a dowsing machine, not a drowsing machine like I've been calling it, and we used it to find a max repel. William and I continue exploring through the cave, and after a bit of running, we eventually find a max potion on the ground. After picking up the max potion, I keep running, and I switch William for Samantha because Samantha needs more training. We run up some stairs, then get stopped by a dude who wants to battle. Super Nerd Marcus sends out a Slowpoke. It's the same level as Samantha, so it should be a good fight. Samantha used Strength, which did an extremely mild amount of damage. Then the Slowpoke used Curse, which lowered its own speed, but increased its attack and defense. Samantha used Strength again, as it is Samantha's strongest move, and the Slowpoke repeated Curse, which further increased its attack and defense. Samantha hit another Strength, Slowpoke used Curse again, then Samantha hit another Strength, and it was luckily a critical hit and knocked out the Slowpoke. After beating Marcus, I got a call from my mother, and she informed me she was spending more of my money. We shook it off and started running. I guess it is an inevitable part of life to have your parents spend your money. Samantha and I eventually made our way out of Mount Mortar. We reached Route 42 and immediately left to Ecruteak City. I entered the gym, intent on fighting Morty once more. I made my way through the darkness and talked to Morty. Look, I might have been a bit overconfident last time. That was my bad, okay? But best of luck. And may the better man win, buddy. May the better man win. The gym leader Morty stood before me and sent out his Ghastly. I led with Dorita. The Ghastly failed a spite, and then Dorita used Dragon Rage, which did a ton of damage to the Ghastly. Morty used a Hyper Potion to heal the Ghastly, and Dorita used Dragon Rage again, which did the same amount of damage. The Ghastly was feeling freaky and licked me, and Dorita was so shocked she got paralyzed and couldn't move. The Ghastly followed it up with a mean look so Dorita couldn't escape. Luckily, Dorita hit its Dragon Rage and knocked out the Ghastly. I switched out Dorita and sent in William as Morty sent out his ace, Gengar. Gengar used Shadow Ball on William, which did a ton of damage, but luckily William survived. William retaliated with a Surf, which did a bunch of damage, half of Gengar's health. Unfortunately, the Gengar had a Citrus Berry and recovered a bit. I switched out William because I figured he was my only hope, and I sent out Samantha. Samantha took a big Shadow Ball and fainted. I'm sorry, Samantha. I had no choice. I sent out Dorita, who was already paralyzed and slightly hurt. With Dorita on the battlefield, I decided to use a Super Potion on William to bring him back to fighting condition. Since I used an item, it was now Gengar's turn, and it used a Shadow Ball on Dorita, which knocked her out. I'm sorry, Dorita. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. I sent out the freshly healed up William back into the battle. The Gengar foolishly used Sucker Punch, which William tanked like a boss. William used Surf again, which hit and did a ton of damage. The Gengar used Shadow Ball again. Hold on, William, please! Please! Yes, my man! William luckily survived and used Surf on the Gengar again, and knocked out that menace of a Pokemon. I switched out William after a job well done, and sent out Steven to deal with Morty's last two Pokemon. Morty sent out a Haunter to try and take on Steven. Steven outsped the Haunter and used Flame Wheel, which did a ton of damage. The Haunter used Hypnosis and put Steven to sleep. Steven couldn't do anything because he was snoozing, and he got hit with a Dream Eater, which healed the Haunter and did a decent amount of damage. Steven was still fully asleep, and the same thing happened again. Steven woke up and used another Flame Wheel, and thankfully it did just enough damage to knock out the Haunter. Steven recovered a solid 4 HP from the Shell Bell it had equipped.
Hooray!
Morty sent out his last Pokemon, a second Haunter. Steven hit it with a big Flame Wheel, and unlucky for him, he got burned. The Haunter used Curse and committed Sudoku and lost Morty the battle. Hey, Morty, I knew I was gonna win. I knew I was gonna demolish you. I just didn't want to say it. Get absolutely annihilated. See you later. I left the gym after kicking Morty to the curb like I knew I was gonna, and I healed up my team after a job well done. Everyone did their part in the battle, and I gotta be honest, I was proud of my guys. I left the Pokemon Center and decided it was time to leave Ecruteak City and head towards Mahogany Town again. On Route 42, I didn't need to go through Mount Mortar because I could now use Quagsire's Surf outside a battle. Quagsire used the move and I hopped on his back and cruised across the lake. A random encounter stopped me and a Goldeen appeared in front of me. Samantha was up and she was in danger from Goldeen's type advantage, so I swapped a route for Dorita. Dorita got hit with a Horn attack and then got confused by the Goldeen Supersonic. Being confused, Dorita somehow managed to hurt herself. The Goldeen used Horn attack again and Dorita managed to knock out herself. I sent out Big Bad William to deal with the Goldeen. William hit the Goldeen with a couple of not very effective Surfs, which did just enough damage to knock out the Goldeen. We eventually made it to land and I saw some apricorns I had to get. I ran to the cuttable tree, Samantha used cut, then I ran in and picked all the apricorns. I found myself a super potion on the ground and then hopped on Quagsire's back to get across the lake. Once on land again, Samantha and I continued running along the route until we reached Mahogany Town again. The jerk was still blocking the gym, so I went to the Pokemon Center to heal up Dorita. I left the Pokemon Center and while running through town, I saw a peculiar looking man. He was a businessman, and he was selling Rage candy bars for $300. And who am I to refuse a bargain like that? With Rage candy bar in hand, I decided to leave Mahogany Town and head towards the Lake of Rage to hopefully catch the shiny Gyarados. After a bit of running, we made it. We made it to the lake. Quagsire used Surf, I hopped on his back, and we sailed over to the Gyarados. It shouted, Yasha! And we entered a battle. The shiny Gyarados stood at a menacing level 30, way higher than any of my team. I sent out Dorita. I wanted to catch it on principle alone. You see a shiny, you catch that shit. The Gyarados used Bite on Dorita, and it knocked it out. Yeah, Dorita didn't stand a chance. I sent out William to do some damage, as he is my tankiest guy. The Gyarados used Leer, which lowered my defense. William used Surf, which, yeah, things weren't looking good. The Gyarados bit poor William, but luckily William really is a tank. William used Surf, and again, it didn't do much damage at all. The Gyarados switched it up and used Twister, which didn't do a lot of damage. William used Surf again to slowly chip away at the Gyarados' health. The Gyarados mistakenly repeated Twister, and William survived. William hit the Gyarados with another Surf, getting its health under halfway. I thought this was good enough and chucked an Ultra Ball at it. Alright, big money, big money. Yep. Ah, scam. The Gyarados escaped from the ball and used Leer to lower my defense. I hoofed another Ultra Ball at the Gyarados and hoped for the best. Come on. Yep. Yes. Yes. Yeah! I caught the shiny Gyarados and named it Genji after my favorite Overwatch character. I've never played Overwatch. I found a red scale after the encounter, and when I got to land, met this dude with red hair and a Dragonite. He seemed like a pretty good dude, and he was gassing me up a bit, so I couldn't not like him. He wanted some help in Mahogany Town and flew away, telling me to meet him there. Samantha and I started heading back, and soon we were back in Mahogany Town. I made a quick pit stop in the Pokemon Center to heal up Dorita, and then entered the souvenir shop. When I got inside, the red-headed dude Lance was already there, and his Dragonite was using Hyper Beam on this guy. I don't believe for a second that this guy survived, but we moved on, opened the hidden staircase, and went down. Under the souvenir shop was Team Rocket's secret headquarters. And there were so many Team Rocket grunts here wanting to battle. I'm not going to run you through the play-by-play, but we're going to do a tally of how many battles there was. Samantha the Sandshrew actually evolved into Samantha the Sandslash after the second battle and learnt Crush Claw. I caught up to Lance and he healed my Pokemon with his medicine. I honestly don't know what he did. After 23 long battles, the Team Rocket executive Petrol ran away after telling me the password only works with his voice. Fortunately, the random Murkrow in the room was shouting out the password in Petrol's voice. How convenient. It started running away as well, and I had to chase it down. I eventually caught up to the Murkrow, and it was shouting out the password in front of the locked door. Conveniently enough, it worked, and the door opened. Thank you, Murkrow, you're an OG. We ran through the previously locked door and got stopped by Ariana, another Team Rocket executive. Lance came rushing in to help, and we found ourselves in a double battle versus Ariana and some random Team Rocket grunt. Our opponent sent out an Arbok and a Drowsy, I sent out Samantha, and Lance sent out his Dragonite. The Dragonite flew up into the sky, and the Arbok missed its glare. Samantha hit Drowsy with a Strength, which did pretty big damage, and the Drowsy retaliated with a Confusion. Dragonite's Fly hit Drowsy and knocked it out. Samantha leveled up to level 28. Arbok used Glare on Dragonite, which paralyzed it. Samantha hit the Arbok with Strength for mild damage, and our opponent sent out a Grimer. Samantha hit the Grimer with a pretty strong Strength, and then unfortunately got paralyzed by the Arbok's Glare. Dragonite couldn't move because it was paralyzed too, and the little shit Grimer used Minimize. Dragonite got munched on, then missed its Thunder. The Grimer used Sludge Bomb, then Samantha couldn't move because it was paralyzed. I gotta be honest, it wasn't a very productive fight. Everyone kept missing or was paralyzed, and the stupid Grimer kept using Minimize. This happened for such a long time. Samantha and Dragonite just could not hit moves to save their life. This lasted for so long. It was crazy. I'm still in disbelief now. It's bullshit, man. Bullshit! After missing like 20 to 25 times, Samantha got hit with a crunch and got knocked out. And it was honestly deserved for missing so many times in a row. On the same turn, Dragonite finally hit a Thunder and knocked out the Arbok as well. I sent out William and Ariana sent out her own Murkrow. William hit everyone with a surf, and it did moderate damage to Murkrow, a tiny bit of damage to Dragonite, and the Grimer somehow dodged it. William got hit by a couple of Team Rocket's attacks, then pulled off another surf, which knocked out the Murkrow, and missed the Grimer. Lance's Dragonite finally hit a fly, and knocked out the Grimer as well. William leveled up to level 27, and Ariana sent out a Gloom. William hit it with a Mud Shot, which did a little bit of damage, and the Gloom used Mega Drain, which was 4 times effective against William. Unfortunately, William got knocked out. I sent in Steven and hit the Gloom with a super effective Flame Wheel, which did a ton of damage. Dragonite luckily hit its fly and knocked out the Gloom. As usual, when these guys lose, they start yapping about some bullshit and then vanish. After our victory, Lance and I continue with our mission. We have to stop the power running to the generator, and to do so we split up to take on some electrodes. I run up to the first electrode powering the generator and take it on in battle. I send out Steven, hit the electrode with Flame Wheel twice, and then use Quick Attack to finish it off. And I leveled up to level 29. I did the same thing with the other 2 electrodes, winning the battle 2 more times. After beating the 3rd electrode, I walked back to the center and met back up with Lance. He thanked me for all my hard work, nothing special, and he gave me HM number 5. Lance and his Dragonite then left the hideout, and I soon followed. I left the souvenir shop and made my way to the Pokemon Center to heal up my guys. After healing, I left the Pokemon Center and made my way to the Pokemon Gym. When inside, I talked to my biggest supporter, and he told me the gym leader Price was a veteran. I gotta pay my respects, man. He also said it's an Ice-type gym, which I kinda figured. I figured out a very simple puzzle and then made my way to the next room. There were some gym trainers in here, and I decided to take them on. I was up against Skier Diana and her Jinx. I don't think it's a great idea to ski inside, but whatever. I sent out Samantha. The Jinx used Mean Look, which was kind of a waste because I wasn't planning on switching out. Samantha used Rollout, and it hit the Jinx for some serious damage. The Jinx used Ice Punch, and it was super effective against Samantha. Samantha was locked into using Rollout and hit the Jinx again. It knocked out the Jinx and won us the battle. I decided to take on the other gym trainer in the room. Border Pattern had a Swinub. Samantha used Rollout, which did half the Swinub's health with a critical hit. The Swinub retaliated with Mud Slap, which did a pathetic amount of damage, but it did lower my accuracy. Samantha missed her second Rollout and got hit by a Mud Bomb. Samantha used Strength, and it did just enough damage to knock out the Swinub. Patton sent out a second Swinub, and it used Endure, which I don't think was a good idea. Samantha used Strength, and it didn't do enough damage to make the Endure do anything. Samantha missed the Strength, and then got hit by a Mud Bomb, which didn't do a lot of damage, but lowered my accuracy. The Swinub used Endure, but Samantha missed anyway. Samantha finally hit another Strength, and did enough damage to knock out the Swinub. After beating Patton, I mega-minded the puzzle in the room and made my way to the next one. This room had more gym trainers, and I decided to take them on. Border DeAndre, which is a sick name by the way, sent out a Seal. I sent out Samantha. The Seal used a priority move Ice Shard to hit Samantha. Samantha used Rollout for not as much damage as I hoped, then used Rollout again, and the damage doubled. The Seal used Encore, which was a bit of a waste because I was going to use Rollout again anyway. Unfortunately, Samantha missed her next Rollout, and the Seal used Aqua Ring to start healing some health. The Seal used the priority move Ice Shard again to hit Samantha, and Samantha used Rollout, which hit this time but didn't knock out Seal. Samantha used Rollout again, and it did enough damage to KO the Seal. DeAndre sent out a Dugong, and it used Ice Shard. These guys loved that move for some reason. It got a critical hit and knocked out Samantha. I sent out Doretta to take care of business, and the Dugong used Aqua Ring. Doretta used Dragon Rage, and it was very effective. It did half the Dugong's health, but the Aqua Ring the Dugong set up helped it recover some. Doretta used Slam to get the Dugong under half health, and then it used Encore. And this is the one time in the history of Pokemon that Encore has been useful. Now I'm stuck using Slam. Damn it! The Dugong used Rest and fell asleep, but recovered literally all of its health. Doretta had to use Slam, so she did, and it did a little bit of damage, but the Dugong recovered some. Doretta repeated Slam to chip away at the Dugong's health, and the Dugong kept restoring. The dugong kept snoozing, Doretta kept slamming, and dugong kept recovering from Aqua Ring. Thankfully, Doretta's encore ended and could use Dragon Rage again, which did the second half of dugong's health and knocked it out. DeAndre sent out another seal as his last Pokemon, and Doretta used Dragon Rage again, which did a big chunk of damage. The seal used Aqua Ring, and Doretta used Dragon Rage again, which did enough damage to knock out Seal. After the battle with DeAndre, I did some sliding on the ice and found myself in another battle. Skier Jill sent out a dugong, and I sent out William. This battle was extremely and unnecessarily long. William didn't know any strong moves against the dugong, so was just chipping away at its health, and the dugong kept recovering with Aqua Ring and Rest. Yeah, it was really long, okay? Eventually, William chipped away enough at the dugong's health to knock it out. After beating the Staller Jill, I did a bunch of sliding around and bumping into icicles, and eventually found myself in battle with the last gym trainer. Border Gerardo sent out a Shelter, and I sent out William. I immediately used a Hyper Potion because I forgot to heal up William between battles, and I got him to full health. The Shelter missed the Supersonic, then William mistakenly used Rock Smash, which barely did anything. The Shelter got 2 hits on William with an Icicle Spear for a grand total of 4 damage. Wow. William was pissed off and used a big Mud Shot, which did a boatload of damage and knocked out the Shelter. Gerardo sent out a Cloyster this time, and it used Ice Shard. William responded with Mud Shot, which did half of its health and lowered its speed. William got hit with Ice Shard again, and then used Mud Shot, which did enough damage to knock out the Cloyster. William leveled up to level 28, and Gerardo sent out his last Pokemon, a Seal. William hit the Seal with a Mud Shot, and it did about a third of its health. The Seal then wasted its turn with an Encore. William was forced to use another Mud Shot, and then the Seal used Icy Wind. William then used one last Mud Shot, knocked out the Seal, and won us the battle. After the battle, I was pondering how to get to the gym leader and decided to reset the room. I think I messed up the puzzle at some point, so I had another crack. After a bunch of sliding around on the ice and pushing blocks of ice around, I eventually made my way to the gym leader and talked to Price. The dude was sad. He was trying to trauma dump on me, but I wasn't here for it. Look, Price, I'm not your therapist. I'm just here for the gym badge, okay? Let's battle. Let's go, you sad sack of shit! I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. Price sent out a Seal, and I sent out Genji the Gyarados. Genji used Dragon Rage, which did just under half the Seal's health. The Seal used Icy Wind, which didn't do a lot of damage, but it did lower Genji's speed. Genji repeated Dragon Rage, and Seal was now on the brink of death. Seal used Rest and recovered literally all of its health. Genji used Bite to test it out, and it did about the same amount of damage. The Seal was sleeping, and Genji used Leer to lower the Seal's defense. Genji used Bite, and with the Seal's lowered defense, did enough damage to knock it out. Price sent out his ace Pillow-Swine, who was a level 34. It used Blizzard on Genji, which did a bit of damage. I'm just thankful it didn't freeze Genji. Genji responded with a Leer to lower its defense. Pillow-Swine used Blizzard again, which left Genji on the brink of passing away, and then Genji used Bite, which didn't do as much damage as I was hoping for. I switched out Genji, and then sent out Samantha, who immediately got hit with an Ice Fang and almost died. Unfortunately, Samantha was frozen and couldn't move because the ice consumed her. The Pillow-Swine used Ice Fang again, and the power of friendship wasn't enough to hold on, and Samantha fainted. I sent out Steven for the type advantage, hit the Pillow-Swine with a super effective Flame Wheel, which did a big chunk of damage. The Pillow-Swine recovered some health with a Citrus Berry, and then hit Steven with a Mud Bomb, which almost sent Steven straight to heaven. Steven used another super effective Flame Wheel, and thanks to Genji lowering the Pillow-Swine's defense, knocked it out. Price sent out a Dugong, made some stupid remark, and then Steven hit it with a Flame Wheel, which, for a critical hit, didn't do a lot of damage. Steven got hit by Dugong's Aurora Beam, which also didn't do a lot of damage. Steven used Leer because things weren't looking good and needed to do more damage. Steven got hit by another Aurora Beam and managed to hold on. I decided to heal up Steven because I figured the Dugong didn't have any water moves, and I think I was right because it used Ice Shard, which did even less damage than Aurora Beam. Steven kept using Leer to keep lowering the Dugong's defense, and the Dugong kept using Aurora Beam. This repeated 2 more times. Steven used one more layer to lower the Dugong's defense, and the Dugong used another Aurora Beam to slowly chip away at Steven's health. I was going to attack, but forgot the Dugong had the priority move Ice Shard, and Steven got knocked out. Oh shit, Steven, my bad. I sent out William to finish the job Steven started, and he got hit with an Aurora Beam. William used Surf, and it did not do nearly as much damage as I thought it would for a -5 defense Dugong. William got hit with another Aurora Beam, and unfortunately, it was a critical hit, and William got knocked out too. I sent in my critically injured Gyarados Genji, who used Bite and luckily outsped the Dugong, which took it out in one hit. Genji leveled up to level 31 and won me the battle. Price started to trauma dump again and tried to give me some advice, but I'm not depressed, I don't want to hear it. I took the badge and I left. I went to the Pokemon Center to heal all my guys after a battle well fought. With 5 badges in hand, I decided to leave Mahogany Town and head back towards Ecruteak City. It was a bit of a trek, but after a couple of minutes of running, I found myself back in Ecruteak City. I ran through the town, heading west with Doretta. I eventually found myself on Route 38. Doretta and I continued running, and eventually found a max potion. Doretta and I continued running along the path, and soon found ourselves in the long grass. We got into a random encounter rather quickly. It was just the lowly level 16 Raticate, and Doretta was up. The Raticate used Bite, and not only was it a critical hit, but Doretta flinched. The Raticate then used Pursuit, which left Doretta injured, and then Doretta used Dragon Rage, which did a massive chunk of damage. The Raticate then used Hyper Fang, which, it knocked out Doretta. I started getting flashbacks to the beginning of our journey when we lost to a level 4 Rattata, and concluded it's the same one as I sent out Samantha. Samantha used Cut to avenge Steven from all those hours ago. Samantha also leveled up to level 29. After the stinky Raticate, I talked to a girl and she called me cute. I'll take the compliment. Then she challenged me to a battle. Valerie sent out a Hoppip to try and take on William the Quagsire. William used Surf, and surprisingly, the Hoppip survived.
Huh?
The Hoppip wasted its turn trying to lower my defense, and then William hit the Hoppip with a Rock Smash to knock it out. Valerie sent out her second and last Pokemon, a Skiploom. The Skiploom used a 4 times effective Mega Drain, which didn't do as much damage as I thought it would. William used a not very effective Surf, which kinda seemed pretty effective, then somehow outsped the Skiploom, used another Surf, and knocked it out. Valerie was all flustered and gave me a grand, but I don't got time for the hose, so I walked away. William and I continued peacefully walking through the route until we got rudely interrupted by this random guy. He was flexing on us that he owns a safari zone. Big whoop, buddy, we get it, you're rich. Then he asked for my phone number, and man, I just wanted to stop talking to him, so I gave it to him. He walked away after flexing his cash. Damn it, I hate rich people. I walked off in the other direction and made it to Moo Moo Farm. I go inside the house, and he tells me the milk tank aren't giving him any milk. I go to the barn to check out the problem, only to find Moo Moo the milk tank is sick. Oh no! The little girl tells me it needs lots of Oran berries, so I talk to the milk tank and give it tons of berries. Don't worry, milk tank, Dr. Luca is here. I played Surgeon Simulator once, I know what I'm doing. After enough berries, the milk tank was cured. The little girls were impressed and gave me a seal case for my medical expertise. I went back to the house to tell the owner, and he wasn't really fazed, but he just wanted to sell some milk. I'm surprised he didn't give me a reward, but a businessman is a businessman. I understand. His wife was pretty happy though, and she gave me TM83. I left the ranch and stole from their apricorn tree because I felt like I deserved more of a reward. I went along the route and found myself in a battle with a Pokemon trainer. Psychic Nelson sent out a Slowpoke, and I sent out William. William used Mudshot and knocked out the Slowpoke in a single hit. Nelson sent out another Slowpoke, William used Mudshot again, but this time the Slowpoke survived. The Slowpoke used a stat increasing move, so I didn't care, and then William used Mudshot again, which knocked out the Slowpoke. William leveled up, and we won the battle. I walked away from Nelson and his weak Slowpokes, and got stopped by a guy in a sailor outfit. William the absolute beast pretty easily took out the guy's entire team with minimal effort. Was not a big deal, and we won the battle. There were 2 more trainers on the route, and William the absolute beast wiped the floor with both of them. William and I continued running along and found ourselves in Olivine City. We kept running until we got to the Pokemon gym. And Jim, our rival, came out. He called me a wimp and helpfully informed me that the gym leader was in the lighthouse. He said goodbye and he cheerfully walked off. I continued through Olivine City, and this place has got to be one of the best towns in the game. I entered the Pokemon Center, healed my guys, and then left. I made my way to the lighthouse to hopefully find the gym leader to get my next badge. Went inside, I talked to the sailor, and he told me it's not easy to climb because there's so many trainers. Man, I'm the best trainer of this generation. This shit's gonna be no problem. I quickly got into a battle with Gentleman Alfred, who had a Noctowl who looked a bit low level to take on my Doretta. Doretta hit the Noctowl with a Dragon Rage, the Noctowl used Peck, then Doretta used Dragon Rage again. This did enough damage to knock out the Noctowl and beat Alfred. I pretty much immediately got into another battle with a sailor this time. The sailor Huey sent out a pathetic looking Poliwag. Doretta used Slam and annihilated it. Huey sent out a Poliwhirl, and even I was hoping it did a better performance than the Poliwag. The Poliwhirl used Water Gun, which was a mistake, and then Doretta used Slam, which did a ton of damage and knocked out Poliwhirl with a crit. I gave Huey my number because I felt sorry he was so pathetically weak, and then I climbed the ladder. At the top, I got into a battle with Birdkeeper Theo, who sent out a Pidgey. Doretta made extremely short work of it, and then Theo sent out another low-level Pidgey. Doretta actually made short work of all Theo's Pokemon because all he had was low-level Pidgeys. I've talked about this before, it's not smart to fill your entire team with the same Pokemon. It's foolish. We beat the moron Theo and left. We continued climbing the lighthouse, and at the top of the ladder, I found myself in another battle. Preston sent out a Growlithe, and I sent out Doretta. Doretta used Dragon Rage, which did a ton of damage, and the Growlithe wasted its turn using Leer. Preston used a full restore, which aren't cheap, this guy's clearly rich. Then Doretta used Dragon Rage again, which did the same amount of damage. Doretta repeated Dragon Rage, knocked out the Growlithe, and Preston sent out another one. Being a rich old man and traveling around with 2 Growlithe is a pretty cool thing to do, to be honest. Preston has my respect. Doretta uses Dragon Rage and it does a good amount of damage again. The Growlithe wastes its turn using Odor Sleuth, and Doretta finishes it off with another Dragon Rage. After the battle, I walk out a doorway and start falling. Why was there a doorway that led to nothing? What happened? Whoever put that doorway there tried to kill me. When I regained consciousness, I found myself on a lower level of the lighthouse. I found myself a rare candy. Whoa, big. Maybe the fall was worth it. Then I entered the lighthouse again. When inside, I saw an item I wanted, but had to go through a battle to get it. Sailor Kent sent out a Krabby, and I sent out Doretta. Doretta missed her Slam like a chump, and then the Krabby used Harden to raise its defense. Doretta used Dragon Rage, and surprisingly, it took out the Krabby in one hit. Kent sent out a second Krabby 2 levels higher. Doretta missed her Slam again, and the Krabby used Harden. Doretta used Dragon Rage this time, and the 2 levels made a difference because the Krabby survived and used Vice Grip. Doretta used Twister to finish off the Krabby, knocked it out, and I found an Ether! I got into another battle, this time with Birdkeeper Dennis, and he sent out a Spearow. Doretta used Slam and knocked it out, then kept using Slam and knocked out his entire team. Doretta leveled up to level 28, and then we climbed a ladder. At the top of which there was another ladder, and we climbed it as well. We then got into another battle. Sailor Terrell was our opponent, and he only had one Pokemon, a level 20 Poliwhirl. Doretta used Slam a couple of times and knocked it out. After the battle, I ran around the room and got into another fight with another sailor. Sailor Roberto sent out a Machop, and Doretta used Slam, which did a lot of damage. The Machop wasted its turn using Foresight, and then Doretta used Twister. The Machop fainted, and Roberto sent out another one. Doretta used Dragon Rage for some big damage, and the Machop wasted its turn not attacking. Doretta finished it off with another Twister. Roberto sent out a Poliwhirl, and Doretta took it out with relative ease as well. I found a Super Repel on the ground and then climbed the last ladder. The gym leader Jasmine was there, but she was looking after a sick Ampharos. I told her just to take it to the Pokemon Center, but she wasn't about it. I think she must have been some hippie crystal girl because she wanted some medicine from a town I hadn't even heard of. And I guess I have to get it for her. I picked up a super potion and then went into the elevator. I took the elevator all the way down to the first floor, left the elevator, then left the lighthouse. I have to cross the ocean to get to the town she was talking about, so I'm in for a mission. I leave Olivine City, find myself on Route 40, and talk to this dude who's raving about waves. I ran over to the ocean, Quagsire used surf, I hopped on his back, and got into a battle. Swimmer Simon had a tentacle, and it was weak. Doretta used slam, and knocked it out. Simon had a second tentacle, and the same thing happened. I continued to surf the waves on Quagsire's back and then talked to a swimmer and got into another battle. Swimmer Randall sent out a Shelder and it got one-tapped by Doretta's Dragon Rage. Doretta leveled up to level 29, Randall sent out another Shelder and it got one-tapped as well. Randall sent out a War Turtle this time and it got slammed by Doretta, which did half its health. The War Turtle used Water Gun, which did the damage equivalent of getting peed on. Doretta used Slam again and knocked out the War Turtle. I immediately got into another battle with the swimmer Paula, but it didn't last very long. I continued to swim on the ocean on Quagsire's back and then purposefully got myself into a battle. I immediately regretted it as Swimmer George had 6 Pokemon and spoiler alert, they were all pathetically weak and all died in one hit. After the battle, you wouldn't believe what happened. I know I didn't. Doretta was evolving. Yes! Yeah! Let's go! Yeah! Doretta evolved from a lowly Dratini into a majestic Dragonair. She's amazing. I kept swimming with my newly acquired Dragonair and I got into a battle. Swimmer Susie sent out a Psyduck and I sent out Doretta the Dragonair. Doretta hit the Psyduck with a slam and squashed him. Susie sent out a Goldeen, and what happened next is unbelievable. I'm still in shock. I'm still in awe at what happened. Doretta didn't just miss one slam. She didn't just miss 2 slams. She got hurt doing the 3rd slam. She missed the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th slam. What are the odds of that bullshit? I switched her out because she showed the worst display of anything I've ever seen and sent in William. William hit the Goldeen with Mudshot, then used another Mudshot to make the Goldeen look like easy work, something Doretta couldn't do to save her own life. After that tragedy of a battle, we kept swimming, and soon enough, land was on our left. We made it. We made it to Cyanwood City. When I jumped to the shore, the first thing I did was hit the Pokemon Center. I said Wassup to Nurse Joy, and I healed up my fellas. After leaving the Pokemon Center, I checked out the building next door, and it was a pharmacy, the one that Jasmine was talking about. When I got inside, I talked to the guy behind the counter, and he knew she was a bit crazy, and he gave me some crazy special medicine. After I left the pharmacy, I decided to check out the house next door. Went inside, the guy, he just gave me a Shuckle. Shucky the Shuckle. I wasn't planning on adding a Shuckle to the team, but I guess he can fill up the spot for now. I left the house with my new Pokemon and found Cameron the photographer's house. He had a camera set up outside and I decided to take a picture with it. Alright, big smiles guys. That's better, William, you look happy to be here. I continued up the beach, talked to an old man who was yapping about rocks or something, I don't really know. I kept running and I saw Suicune. I went up to it, it bounced around some more and stopped in front of me before running away. Then this jackass you seen came up to me and started yapping about how rare Suicune is again. I don't like your Suicune fan club, man. I don't want to join it. He was getting jealous that I was getting heaps of attention from Suicune and then he wanted to battle me. I'm glad. I want to wipe the floor with this loser. You seen sent out Drowsy and that sure is a creepy Pokemon for a creepy dude. Steven hit the Drowsy with a Flame Wheel, which did a fair amount of damage, and then the Drowsy missed its hypnosis. Steven hit the Drowsy with another Flame Wheel, and it must have been low roll, then a high roll, because the Drowsy got knocked out. Ucene sent out an Electrode, more like an Electrode. I hate you, Ucene! Steven hits it with a Flame Wheel, and it doesn't really do a lot of damage. The Electrode hits a Thunder for a good amount of damage, and it gets lucky because Steven gets paralyzed. Steven hits another Flame Wheel despite of paralysis, which does another chunk of damage. The Electrode hits Steven with another Thunder and leaves Steven critically injured. Steven hit the Electrode with yet another Flame Wheel, and surprisingly, it did enough damage to knock it out. I think this was because of Steven's ability Blaze. Steven leveled up to level 30, then I switched him out and sent in Shucky for his debut battle. Usain sent out a Haunter, and then I looked at Shuckle's moves and things didn't look good. Regardless, the Haunter put Shuckle to sleep, so he couldn't use any of his trash moves anyway. The Haunter used Curse, which cut half its health to put a curse on Shucky. Shucky was sleeping and then got affected by the curse. I figured Shucky couldn't win in a million years no matter what happened, so I switched her out and sent in Doretta. The Haunter used Mean Look, so Doretta couldn't escape. Usain's freaky ass Pokemon licked me, and then Doretta used Dragon Rage to knock out the Haunter. Usain lost and he started gassing me up, but then he started talking about Suicune again, and I was happy when he walked away. After the battle, I checked out the seaside house and went inside. Went inside, I talked to the old lady, and she was talking about how no one has come to visit her in a long time, and man, I would feel bad, but I don't got time for empathy. I got gym badges to get. I ran down the beach until I got to the Pokemon gym, and then I went inside. The gym leader's right at the entrance. I thought this was going to be a quick gym, but he didn't even notice me. I gotta turn off the water, so I run through the gym and get into a battle. Black Belt Lau sent out a Hitmonchan, and I sent out Steven. Steven hit it with a Flame Wheel for some good damage, and then the Hitmonchan, for some reason, used Flame Punch. Steven smacked the Hitmonchan with another Flame Wheel for some more good damage, and this time, the Hitmonchan got burned. The Hitmonchan used Thunder Punch, which it probably should have used in the first place, and then it got hurt with some burn. Steven used one last Flame Wheel to knock out the Hitmonchan and win the battle. I ran around the trainer I just beat, ran up some stairs, and then got into another battle. Black Belt Lung sent out a Mankey, which Steven quickly annihilated. Lung sent out a second Mankey, and the same thing happened, it got taken out in one hit. Lung sent out a Primeape as his last Pokemon, and Steven hit it with a Flame Wheel, which did half its health. It used Seismic Toss, which did some damage. Steven used another Flame Wheel and knocked it out. Steven got some XP, grew to level 31, and we continued through the gym. We went under a bridge and talked to another trainer. Black Belt Knob sent out a Machop. What kind of name is Knob? Game Freak, what are you doing? Steven used Flame Wheel on the Machop, and luckily he got a critical hit and knocked out the Machop. Knob sent out a Machoke as his second and last Pokemon. Steven hit it with a Flame Wheel, which did about a third of its health, and then the Machoke used Leer to lower Steven's defense. Steven hit the Machoke with another Flame Wheel to take away another third of its health, and luckily the Machoke got burned. The Machoke used Seismic Toss on Steven for some good damage, and then took some damage from burn. Steven used one more Flame Wheel to knock out the Machoke. After beating Knob, I continued through the gym and had some trouble with some stairs, but we eventually got into the battle with the last gym trainer. His name was Yoshi! Whoa! And he had a Hitmonlee. Steven used Flame Wheel on the Hitmonlee, and it did half of its health. The Hitmonlee wasted its turn using Meditate to raise its attack, and then Steven hit another Flame Wheel, which did enough damage to knock it out. After the battle, I ran to the top of the gym tower thingy, and I turned the winch to stop the water from pouring on the gym leader's head. I ran back down and talked to the gym leader. He told me he was using the waterfall pouring on his head as some type of training, and what exactly is he training for, man? What is this doing? Just hit a weights machine or something. Go to an actual gym. Man, whatever though, I'm gonna whoop your ass and take your badge. The gym leader Chuck only had 2 Pokemon, and he sent out a Primeape first to try and take on Steven. Primeape began the fight by tightening its focus, and Steven hit it with a Flame Wheel, which did a good chunk of damage. The Primeape lost focus and couldn't attack. The douchebag Primeape used Double Team to raise its evasiveness, so I'd miss, but Steven luckily hit its Flame Wheel anyway. The Primeape started to focus again, but luckily Steven hit the Flame Wheel regardless. Unluckily, the Primeape survived, though it did get burned. The Primeape took damage from the burn and died. Steven leveled up to level 32, and I switched him out and sent out William. Chuck sent out Poliwrath as his last Pokemon. The Poliwrath missed its hypnosis and then absorbed William's Surf. It then used Body Slam for a bit of damage, but unluckily, William got paralyzed. William used Mudshot, which, didn't do a whole lot of damage, but it did lower the Poliwrath's speed. The Poliwrath used another Body Slam and got a critical hit. William used another Mudshot, and again it didn't do a lot, but it did lower Poliwrath's speed further. My opponent used Surf for some reason, and William absorbed it. William then used Mudshot for some more chip damage. The Poliwrath hit another Body Slam, and William hit another Mudshot. William actually got a crit, but the Poliwrath healed itself with a Citrus Berry. The Poliwrath began to focus, and this is the one turn that William couldn't move because it was paralyzed. The Poliwrath pulled off the focus punch, and William fainted. No, William! How did this happen? I sent out Dorita to finish off the Poliwrath and used Dragon Rage. It somehow survived and used a not very effective Surf. Chuck the jackass used a Hyper Potion and healed all of the Poliwrath's HP. Dorita just kept spamming Dragon Rage until Chuck ran out of Hyper Potions. Eventually he did, and Dorita knocked out the Poliwrath. I beat Chuck the gym leader, and he gave me gym badge number 6. I then informed him that he probably shouldn't spend all of his time under a waterfall and should actually train his Pokemon. I left the gym and then hit the Pokemon Center. After I healed up all my guys, I used Surf and hopped on Quagsire's back. I had to surf back to Olivine City to get the medicine back to Jasmine. After a long surf across the ocean, I made it to land and ran upwards until I reached Olivine City. I entered the lighthouse and used the elevator to get to the top floor. When I got into the room, I ran over to Jasmine and handed her the medicine. I came as fast as I could, Jasmine, I swear! I went straight to Cyanwood City, got the medicine, and came straight back here, I swear, no detours or anything. Jasmine applied the medicine on the Ampharos, then asked how the Ampharos was feeling. It said, Paloo, Palulu, and then started lighting up the whole place. Jasmine was happy and thankful, then she finally returned to the gym. What a pain in the ass. I left the Ampharos, took the elevator back down, and left the lighthouse. I made my way to the Pokemon gym and went inside. When inside, I got stopped by this old man, and he thanked me for helping Jasmine, and it's not like I had a choice, man, I had to. My biggest supporter gave me some tips. I ran through the gym and got stopped by a gym trainer. She didn't actually want to battle, she just told me how capable I was and let me go. I went up to Jasmine, talked to her, and challenged her to a battle. I need that 7th gym badge, and if I have to go through you, so be it. Jasmine was up, and she sent out a Magnemite as her first Pokemon. It reminded me of that meme from like 2010. Dorita hit the Magnemite with a Dragon Rage and did half its health. The Magnemite used Thunder Wave and paralyzed Dorita.
Oh no.
The Magnemite then used Thunderbolt, which did quite a bit of damage for a not very effective move. Dorita couldn't move because she was paralyzed. The Magnemite used another Thunderbolt, and it was a big hit. Chill out, chill! Dorita luckily survived a critical hit and used Dragon Rage, which knocked out the Magnemite. I switched out Dorita because she was hurt and paralyzed and sent in Steven. Jasmine sent out her ace, Steelix. Steven used a super effective Flame Wheel, and I gotta be honest, it was the most pathetic super effective move I've ever seen. The Steelix used Rock Throw for some good damage. Steven used another Flame Wheel to keep chipping away at its opponent's health. The Steelix used Sandstorm because it's annoying, and then Steven used another Flame Wheel. The Steelix recovered a ton of health from the stupid berry it was holding, and then threw another rock at Steven. The Sandstorm Steelix put up was still raging, which hurt Steven, who was basically now on death's door. Steven hit the Steelix with another Flame Wheel that was a bit boosted by Steven's ability Blaze. Fortunately, the Steelix got burned. The Steelix then used Iron Tail, which finished off Steven. You did good, buddy. I sent out William, who used Surf, which did enough damage to knock out the Steelix. William leveled up to level 30, and Jasmine sent out her last Pokemon, a Magnemite. Why she didn't evolve both her Magnemite is beyond me. The Magnemite used Sonic Boom, which always does 20 damage, and then William responded with a Surf, which almost knocked out the Magnemite. Jasmine healed her Magnemite with a Hyper Potion, and then William used Surf to do the same amount of damage. Jasmine again used another Hyper Potion, and William again used Surf, which luckily this time was a critical hit that knocked out the Magnemite. I beat Jasmine and she started talking about crystals or something, I don't know, I wasn't listening, and then she gave me the badge and I left. When I got outside the gym, I was getting a phone call from Professor Elm. He must have heard I got my 7th badge and was getting scared. I think he sent Team Rocket after me like the Mafia or something and just gave me a heads up. He's definitely trying to slow me down. He told me to take care and hung up on me. I hit the Pokemon Center, healed up my guys, then decided to leave Olivine City and head back to Goldenrod City. I should try and take out Team Rocket before they take out me. After a lot of running, I entered Ecruteak City, and it's only a short walk to Goldenrod from here. Doretta and I left Ecruteak City, heading straight for Goldenrod. We got immediately distracted by some apricorns we had to pick. Afterwards, Doretta and I kept running, and after a little bit of time, we were entering Goldenrod City. When I got into town, I was running down the street, and then I noticed something in the corner of my eye. There were Team Rocket thugs all over the place. Professor Elm has taken it too far. Sending all these Team Rocket goons after me is not cool. I decided to enter Goldenrod's underground to think of a scheme to put a stop to these goobers. While running, I got stopped by a new member of Team Rocket, and he thought I was a newcomer as well. He gave me a Team Rocket outfit, and just maybe I could use this. I ran through the underground in my Team Rocket uniform and emerged on the other side of town. With Doretta, I ran past the game corner and talked to a member of Team Rocket who told me to check out the radio tower. Maybe there I could put a stop to these guys. I entered the radio station. My plan was to get to the top and take out the leader. The Team Rocket member got out my way, but then I was stopped by Jim. He thought I joined Team Rocket. Idiot, Jim! It was a disguise! I was trying to fool them to get past them, man! I took off the Team Rocket uniform to prove to Jim that I wasn't joining Team Rocket. The Team Rocket grunt wasn't happy about it, and he challenged me to a battle. The stinky Team Rocket grunt sent out Eradicate, and I sent out Doretta. The Eradicate used Sucker Punch, and then Doretta missed her slam. The Eradicate used Sucker Punch again for some more easy damage, and Doretta hit her slam this time. Doretta used Twister on the Eradicate and knocked it out. The Team Rocket grunt sent out another Eradicate, and Doretta used Dragon Rage a couple of times to knock it out. The Team Rocket grunt knew I was too strong, and he ran away up the stairs. Jim finally understood what I was trying to do. Then he told me he was going to fight Lance. He went off to do that, and I continued up the stairs. On the second floor, there were a ton of Team Rocket grunts and a ton of battles. New Team Rocket hideout, new battle tally. It was Executive Petrol again. He went down pretty easy though. The 13th battle was against Jim. He couldn't find Lance, so he came back to find me to challenge me instead. Jim sent out a Golbat to start with, and I sent out Samantha. The Golbat immediately used Confuse Ray and confused and befuddled Samantha. Samantha used a super effective rollout, which didn't do a lot of damage this turn. The Golbat used Air Cutter on Samantha, which took a decent chunk of her health. Luckily, Samantha snapped out a confusion and used another super effective rollout. It doubled in damage as it was the second consecutive hit. The Golbat used Air Cutter to get some more damage in on Samantha, then Samantha hit another rollout to take it out. Jim sent out his ace for Alligator, and I was a bit confused how it evolved so early, but Samantha hit her 4th rollout in a row and did some serious damage. The Feraligatr used a super effective water gun, and unfortunately, Samantha was taken from us far too soon. You did good, Samantha. Sorry it had to be this way. I sent out Doretta to take out the Feraligatr. Doretta really fumbled the bag as she missed her slam. The Feraligatr used a super effective Ice Fang, and it did a lot of damage. It really did. Doretta hit a slam this time, and to say I was disappointed was an understatement. The Feraligatr used another Ice Fang and knocked out Doretta. I sent out my shiny boy Genji to deal with the Feraligatr, and he used the Dragon Rage to quickly take it out. I swapped out Genji and sent in Steven to take on Jim's Magnemite. Steven hit it with a super effective Flame Wheel and knocked it out in one hit. Jim sent out a Haunter this time. Steven hit it with a Flame Wheel, which did a good chunk of damage and managed to burn it. The Haunter used Curse, which took himself out, but laid a Curse on Steven. When the Haunter went down, Steven took some damage from the Curse, and Jim sent out his last Pokemon, Sneasel. The Sneasel outspit us and used Feint Attack. It did some good damage. Steven used a super effective Flame Wheel, which also did some good damage, but the Sneasel survived. Steven took some damage from the Haunter's Curse, and Jim was in disbelief. Steven used Quick Attack to finish off the Sneasel and leveled up to level 34. After the battle, Jim was shocked. Lance must have told him he didn't treat Pokemon properly and didn't love and trust them enough. In reality, Jim, you just need to train your Pokemon to higher levels and you'll probably win, man. He walked away after a crushing defeat and a blow to the ego. I went right back to demolishing Team Rocket grunts. After Battle 21, I rescued the Director, who gave me a keycard so I could keep progressing through the radio tower. Battle 23 was with Team Rocket Executive Proton. Yeah, his Pokemon didn't last long, he went down pretty quick. Battle 24 was with Team Rocket Executive Ariana. Yeah, she went down pretty quick as well. I took the elevator to the observation deck of the radio tower and walked over to another Team Rocket executive. I told him to take his gang and leave, but he wasn't listening and he challenged me to a battle. Team Rocket executive Archer sent out a Houndour to start, and I sent out Dorita. Dorita used a super effective Aqua Tail, and it actually did a lot of damage and knocked out the Houndour in one hit. I switched out Dorita and sent in William as Archer sent out a Coughing. William used Surf, which took out more than half of the Coughing's health. William got hit by a Sludge Bomb, which was not very effective. William used another Surf and knocked out the Coughing. I switched out William and sent back out Dorita to take on Archer's Houndoom. The Houndoom used Bite, which did a lot of damage, but luckily Dorita didn't flinch and used Aqua Tail. The Aqua Tail was super effective and did a lot of damage as well. The Houndoom used another Bite, and unfortunately, Dorita didn't make it. I sent out Genji instead to finish off the Houndoom. Genji got hit by Houndoom's Bite, which didn't do a whole lot, and then used Bite right back, which was not very effective. The Houndoom switched it up and used a feint attack on Genji. It did a lot of damage. It was a critical hit. Genji got knocked out. Rest in peace, Genji. I sent out William to do the last little bit of damage, and he got hit with a feint attack. Luckily, William is a tank, and he survived. William used the Surf and knocked out the Houndoom. He leveled up to level 36 and learned Earthquake. I had beaten Archer. He gave me $6,000. He started giving me some stupid excuse as to why he lost, but he just sucks, man, he's not good, and then he ran away. After defeating Archer, the radio director came to the observation deck and talked to me. He thanked me for my hard work and for dealing with all those goons. He gave me a rainbow wing as thanks. When the director left, I left as well. On my way out of the radio station, I had to check my lotto ticket, and I didn't win again. I left the place feeling sad. When I was outside, I hit the Pokemon Center and brought back my guys who fell in battle. I left Goldenrod City and set off to get my 8th gym badge. Soon I was passing through Ecruteak City, and before I knew it, I reached Mahogany Town. I went east from the town, made it to Route 44, and found myself in a battle. Psychic Phil sent out a Natu. Dorita missed her slam, and then the Natu used Confuse Ray, which disorientated poor old Dorita. Dorita pulled through the confusion and used Slam, which luckily knocked out the Natu. I probably should have switched out Dorita as Phil sent out the Kadabra to remove confusion, but I didn't, and Dorita hurt herself in confusion. She got hit with a Psybeam, which was a critical hit, and was still confused. She managed to knock herself out. Dorita, how did this happen? I sent out Samantha to take on the Kadabra, and he got hit by a Psybeam. Luckily, she tanked it because she's a beast, and then she used Crush Claw, which knocked out the Kadabra. Samantha leveled up to level 32. After beating the jerk Phil, I quickly ran back to the Pokemon Center to bring back Dorita. I ran past Phil, screw you Phil, and picked up a Max Repel. I continued along the route with Dorita until I found myself in another battle. Dinosaur Man Zack sent out a Rhyhorn. Dorita used a super effective Aqua Tail and knocked it out in one hit. It gave Dorita enough XP to level up to level 35. After beating Zack, I talked to the fisherman next to him. I made him lose a Poliwag and he wanted to battle. Fisherman Wilton sent out a Goldeen. Dorita hit the Goldeen with a Slam, which did a lot of damage. The Goldeen responded with Flail for some damage on Dorita as well. Dorita hit the Goldeen with a Twister to finish it off. Wilton sent out another Goldeen, which promptly got taken out the same way. Wilton sent out his last Pokemon, a Seaking, and Dorita hit it with an underwhelming Twister. The Seaking used Flail back for a solid 6 damage, and then Dorita used Slam, which I regret not using in the first place. Dorita got hit with a Horn Attack, then used Twister one more time to knock out the Seaking. After the battle, I found an Ultra Ball and just assumed there'd be an item in this little alcove, and there was. Hooray! I figured I'd run back around the route to battle more trainers and get more training, and I took this first guy out pretty quick. I kept running, talked to another trainer, and got into another battle. Ace trainer Sybil had 2 Pokemon, and she went down pretty quick as well. There was one more trainer on the route, a fisherman. Fisherman Edgar sent out a Remoraid and I sent out Steven. Steven hit it with a quick attack and then got hit by a super effective Bubble Beam. Steven survived, used another quick attack and knocked out the Remoraid. Steven leveled up to level 35 and learned Lava Plume. I sent in Genji, who used Bite on Edgar's last Remoraid and knocked it out. I continued along the route and talked to a guy outside a cave who wanted to battle. Birdkeeper Vance had a couple of flying type Pokemon. Steven quickly took out a Hoot Hoot, Vance sent out a Pidgeotto, and Steven quickly took that out as well. After the fight, I went into the cave. I got inside the ice cave and I was ready for tons of random encounters. But I am gonna skip them because they are boring. I got to some ice and I started sliding, which was pretty sick. I continued running and made it to another ice slidey section. Yeah! I eventually got through the sliding section and ran on the path until I found an old man. He dropped an item down below and he couldn't get it because his shoe soles were worn out. Don't worry, old man, I'll get it for you. I slid across the ice and picked up HM7 Waterfall. I ran it back to the old man and even though it was his, he said I could keep it. How nice. I climbed down a ladder and made it to a different part of the cave. There were a bunch of pushable boulders in the room and a bunch of holes as well. I decided the only reasonable course of action was to push all the boulders into the holes. While I was mid-task of pushing boulders down holes, I got into a battle with a Swinub, which I easily took out with a Lava Plume. Steven leveled up to level 36, and after the battle he started evolving. To say I was unbelievably excited would be an understatement. Oh! Steven! My man! That's what I'm talking about! Yeah! Woo! Steven evolved into a big bad Typhlosion. Alright. I continued pushing boulders with Steven the Typhlosion by my side. After I put the last boulder in the hole, I decided to jump down as well. When I got to the bottom, it was another ice slidey section, and I think I was actually supposed to push the boulders down. I was just doing it for fun. I eventually used the boulders to guide my sliding, and I made my way to the little piece of land with no ice. When I got there, I picked up a full heal. Then I went down the ladder, at the bottom of which Quagsire used Rock Smash to smash a rock. Then I picked up a Never Melt Ice. I ran through this section of the cave and climbed another ladder. When I got here, I did minimal sliding and climbed yet another ladder. I continued running through the labyrinth of a cave and then came across an item I wanted to get, but didn't know how. I did figure out I had to push this boulder so it would stop my sliding, and I picked up the item. I climbed up the ladder at the end of the room, and at the top, I picked up a protein that was on the floor. I went forward and there was another sliding section, and there was a kimono girl stuck in the ice. I decided to help her out because I'm a gentleman after all, and I pushed her across the ice. She made it to the other side and thanked me. Then she walked away without giving me a reward. What? What a scam! I slid across the ice too and left the cave. I made it to Blackthorn City, and the first guy I ran into, he knew what was up. He knew what was up. I continued running into the city with Samantha, and I ran into Cameron the photographer. Alright guys, big cheesy smiles, yeah, we're making memories here. After the photo, I went to the Pokemon Center and let my guys get a well-deserved rest. Straight away, I decided to hit the gym. I thought my guys were a bit underleveled, but I thought I might as well try. I speak to my biggest supporter when inside the gym, then hopped on this funky spinning moving platform thingy that was surrounded by lava. It took me across the chasm and I got into a battle. Ace Trainer Paulo sent out a Dratini and I sent out Doretta. It's going to be an easy battle because the evolved form is always stronger. Doretta used a Twister and it did a good amount of damage. It was super effective after all. The Dratini used Dragon Rush, which was also super effective against Doretta, and yeah. No. I sent in Samantha, who used Crush Claw to take out the Dratini. Samantha leveled up to level 33, and I switched her out straight away and sent in Genji. Paulo sent out a Seadra, and I don't know why, but it kept trying to use Bubble Beam on me. Genji used Bite, and it didn't do a lot of damage. The Seadra used Bubble Beam again for another not very effective hit. Genji used Twister this time, and again it didn't do a lot. The Seadra used another Bubble Beam, and Genji used Dragon Rage, which I probably should have been using from the start. Seadra used yet another Bubble Beam to more not very good results. Then Genji used another Dragon Rage to knock out the Seadra. Paulo sent out a second Dratini as his last Pokemon, and Genji hit it with a Twister. The Dratini used Agility to raise its speed, and then it outsped Genji and used Dragon Rush. Genji luckily survived and used Dragon Rage, which did a good chunk of damage. Unluckily, the Dratini survived as well, and then used Slam, which knocked out Genji. I sent out Samantha, and she got hit with a super effective Aqua Tail. She survived because she's a goat, and then loses her goat status straight away by missing. The Dratini uses another super effective Aqua Tail, and Samantha survives again. She hits her Crush Claw this time and takes out the Dratini. After that fiasco of a battle, I move on to the next one. Ace Trainer Lola sends out another Dratini, and I send out William this time. William uses Earthquake, and it really is just a strong move. No critical hit, no super effectiveness, and it takes out Dratini in one hit. Lola sends out a Dragonair, which uses Dragon Rage straight away, but luckily William's attack. William uses Earthquake again, and it's still strong, it does a lot of damage, but the Dragonair survives. It uses another Dragon Rage to take away 40 more health, and then Quagsire uses Earthquake one more time, which knocks out Dragonair. I do some more business on the rotating moving platforms, and then I get into another trainer battle. Ace Trainer Kodiko sends out a Horsey, and I sent out William. The Horsey used Hydro Pump, which missed, but wasn't going to do anything anyway, and William used Earthquake, which did some good damage. The Horsey wasted its turn with another water move, then William embarrassed it by finishing it off with a Rock Smash. Kodiko sent out a Seadra, and William took it out pretty quickly with a couple of Earthquakes. William leveled up for the hard work, and we beat Kodiko.
That's it, thanks for watching. Now back in the tub, you little
It wasn't long until I got into another battle. Fran sent out a Seadra, which got hit by an Earthquake, and got knocked out pretty quick. I got into another battle with the last gym trainer. His name was Mike. He only had one Pokemon as well, and his Dragonair got taken out by an Earthquake. I did some more shenanigans on the moving lava platform, then decided the gym leader could wait because I needed to heal up. I left the gym, hit the Pokemon Center, then came right back. Claire was the gym leader, and she claimed she was the world's best Dragon-type master. But have you seen Doretta? That's me, buddy. You're looking at him. It's not you, okay? We got into a battle and Claire sent out a Gyarados. I hate to break it to you, Claire, but Gyarados is not a Dragon-type Pokemon. I hate to say it. I switched out Steven, then sent in Genji, my own Gyarados. Genji got hit by a Dragon Rage upon coming into the battle. Claire's Gyarados used a second Dragon Rage, and then Genji used his own Dragon Rage. Claire switched it up and used Dragon Pulse, and miraculously, Genji survived. Genji retaliated with a second Dragon Rage. I gave Genji a Moo Moo Milk as a reward for surviving. Good job, Genji. The Gyarados then uses Twister, which was a mistake. The Gyarados hits Genji with a Dragon Rage, then Genji hits the Gyarados with a Dragon Rage, then Claire copies me and heals up her Pokemon. We go back and forth, hitting each other with Dragon Rage a few times until Genji gets knocked out. I send out Doretta to prove I'm the real Dragon Master, and Doretta gets hit by a Dragon Pulse, which does a lot of damage. Doretta hit a Slam, and I was hoping to knock out the Gyarados, but the Gyarados ended up knocking out Doretta. Yeah, the situation wasn't looking great, but I sent out Steven to take care of things. Steven used Quick Attack, which didn't quite knock out the Gyarados. I guess the Gyarados didn't have any water moves because it used Dragon Rage. Steven used another Quick Attack, and this time knocked out the Gyarados. Claire sent out a Kingdra, and I would have been a fool not to switch out Steven and send out William. The Kingdra tried to use Hydro Pump, but Steven absorbed it. The Kingdra used a Smoke Screen to lower my accuracy, but William hit an Earthquake anyway, and it did a little bit of damage. Kingdra hit William with a Dragon Pulse, and for a non-critical, non-super effective move, it did a lot of damage. William used another Earthquake and left the Kingdra with a third of its health left. Unluckily, it healed itself with a Citrus Berry. I switched out William and sent in Shucky to be used as a sacrifice. Shucky got hit by a Dragon Pulse and served its purpose. Steven got a clean switch back into the battle. I switched out Steven and sent in William, hoping the Kingdra would use Hydro Pump, and it did, but it missed. Shucky's sacrifice was for nothing, and William ended up getting knocked out as well. I sent in Genji and used the opportunity to heal back up William. Genji got hit with a Dragon Pulse and unfortunately got knocked out as well. I sent Steven back into the battle, then switched him out straight away for William to bait the Kingdra into using Hydro Pump, which it did, and it healed William this time.
Oh yeah!
The Kingdra started throwing the match with a smoke screen, and William hit his Earthquake regardless. The Kingdra then used a Hyper Beam, which did a ton of damage. Luckily, William barely survived and pulled off an Earthquake. The Earthquake luckily knocked out the Kingdra. The battle wasn't over, Claire still had 2 more Pokemon. I switched out William and sent in Steven as Claire sent out a Dragonair. Steven used Lava Plume and luckily got a critical hit, it just didn't seem like it. The Dragonair used Thunder Wave and paralyzed Steven. I decided to heal up William as I figured it was my only chance of winning. The Dragonair hit a Dragon Pulse as I was healing up William, and then hit another. Luckily Steven survived but was paralyzed and couldn't move. I used a Hyper Potion on Steven as I figured he was more beneficial not knocked out. The Dragonair completely wasted its turn with a Fire Blast. I switched out Steven again to send in William, who got hit with a Dragon Pulse. The Dragonair used another Dragon Pulse, leaving William critically injured, and William pulled off an Earthquake, which didn't quite knock out the Dragonair. God damn it! I switched out William again to send in Steven. Steven got hit with a Dragon Pulse and then luckily pulled off a Quick Attack, which knocked out the Dragonair. I sent out Samantha as Claire sent out her last Dragonair, and it used a super effective Aqua Tail. Hold on, Samantha! Fortunately, Samantha survived. Samantha used Crush Claw, which actually did some pretty good damage. I took the moment I had to heal back up William again. Samantha got hit with a Dragon Pulse, got knocked out, and I sent out the newly healed up William. William also got hit with a Dragon Pulse, survived, and used Earthquake, which knocked out the Dragonair and won me the battle. Easy! I told you I was the Dragon Master! Did you see, Dorita? There was no shot I was gonna lose! Easiest battle of my life! Claire didn't give me the badge because she didn't think I was good enough, and told me to go to the Dragon's Den to see if I was worthy. And I guess I have to, I got nothing else going on. Quagsire used Surf on the lake behind the gym. I hopped on his back and smoothly sailed across the lake until I reached Dragon's Den. I went inside and took the ladder down to the main chamber. I quickly found myself in a battle. His name was Ace Trainer Kobe. Nothing but respect. Dorita puts up a good fight, but gets hit by an Iron Tail and does get knocked out by the first trainer in the dungeon. I sent in Samantha, who used Crush Claw to finish off the Dragonair and win the battle. I use a revive on Dorita after her poor performance to bring her back. I then run down to the body of water in the den and then use Surf. I hop on William's back and do some cruising around. Eventually, I find these 2 little girls who challenge me to a double battle. Where are your parents? Why are you in this cave all by yourself? Who said this was okay, man? I gotta tell somebody about this. Dorita used Twister, which hit both of the little girls' Dratinis for some good damage. Samantha then used Crush Claw on one of the Dratinis and knocked it out. Dratini used Headbutt, which did minimal damage, then Dorita used one more Twister, which knocked out the last Dratini. Where are your parents, guys? It's not safe in here. Get out of the cave, man. Goodness. I taught Genji Whirlpool and used it to cross, a whirlpool, then continued surfing across the water until I reached the Dragon Den Shrine. When I got inside, there were a bunch of creepy old men just standing around. I walked up to and talked to the one in the middle, and he decided he wanted to quiz me. I didn't know there was a quiz. I didn't study for this shit. I just chose all the answers that made me look the best, and the idiot believed it, man. Alright. The gym leader Claire walked in to ask if I passed the test, and obviously I did. She was shocked. Apparently she's tried the test a bunch and failed. Have you not heard of lying, Claire? What an idiot. You should try it sometime. You might pass. She finally handed over the badge and then ran out of the shrine embarrassed. I left as well. On my way out of the Dragon's Den, Claire stopped me to apologize. You can save your apology, Claire. I don't care. I got the Elite Four to beat. I'm busy. I walked away and left the Dragon's Den. I was getting a phone call from the stinky old professor, and he said he had a gift for me. He must have heard the news. I figured I might as well go to my hometown. It's been a while. I could say hi to Mama and show off to the professor. I soon found myself in a battle with Ace Trainer Ryan. He sent out a Pidgeot. It didn't last very long because Dorita was here and knocked it out with an Aqua Tail. Ryan sent out an Electabuzz and Dorita quickly took it out with a Twister. I continued running along the path and picked up a Max Potion, then kept running, talked to another trainer, and got into another battle. Ace Trainer Kelly sent out a Marl who got hit with a Twister and got knocked out in one hit from a lucky critical hit. Callie's second Pokemon was a Wartortle who got hit by a couple of twisters and luckily survived. What? The Wartortle used Bite, which didn't do a lot of damage, and then got hit with a twister and got knocked out. Callie sent out another Wartortle who got hit with a Slam, hit with a twister, and got knocked out as well. We continued running, found ourselves a full heal, ended up on Route 46, next to another exit of the Dark Cave. I did some parkour, and then found myself in another battle. The guy might have had 5 Pokemon, but they were all pathetically weak and got taken out pretty quick. After the battle, I continued running with Doretta and then found myself entering a kiosk and back on Route 29. I was almost back home. Doretta and I did some more running and then we entered New Bark Town. We were back. I entered the lab and inside, Lyra was there. She was impressed I got all 8 badges and took me to see the professor. Hello, Professor. I told you I could do it. He was actually really modest and impressed with me and gave me a Master Ball for my hard work. He told me the Kimono girls were waiting for me in Ikritik City, so I left. I still gotta beat the Elite Four as well. My job's not finished. I have some bad news. I accidentally, for my last recording, recorded a black screen, and the game saved after that. So, I beat the game, and I don't have any footage of it. So the video's over. Yep, thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye. I'm just kidding, the video's not over, okay? I painstakingly played through the entire game, doing exactly the same thing again to get up to the point I was. This took a long ass time, and really took a lot of willpower to do, to be honest, but I did it! I did it! The only change you might notice is Doretta is now a man instead of a woman. But besides that, everything's the same. Okay, we're back. Sorry about the interruption. We left New Bark Town, ran through Cherry Grove City, ran through Violet City, and eventually made it back to Ikritik City. When I was going inside the dance theater, Jim rushed out and stopped me. Apparently he got beaten by all the Kimono girls. What a loser! He ran away embarrassed after getting beaten, and then I went into the theater. When inside, all the Kimono girls were on the stage. I walked up and talked to them and asked them for a hula dance. They said no and challenged me to a battle. I was challenged by the first Kimono girl, Zuki, who sent out an Umbreon. Man, this is gonna be easy. The Umbreon used Dark Pulse, which is a weirdly strong move. He also got a critical hit and almost knocked out Doretta. Doretta used Aqua Tail and it really didn't do much at all. Aww. I healed up Doretta because I felt cheated. Man, who gets a critical hit on the first turn? What luck. The Umbreon used Dark Pulse on the turn I healed, then used Dark Pulse again afterwards, and Doretta flinched. Doretta clearly wasn't even trying to win and got hit by another Dark Pulse and got knocked out. I sent in William, who got confused and hurt himself in his confusion. William then got hit with a Dark Pulse, which did a good amount of damage and unluckily flinched. Oh no. The Umbreon kept spamming Dark Pulse and William finally hit an Earthquake, which didn't even do a lot of damage. William got hit by another Dark Pulse and got knocked out. Things were not looking good. I sent in Steven because he is reliable, and I accidentally used Tackle. The Umbreon used Confuse Ray, and unfortunately confused poor old Steven. Even though Steven was confused, he pulled off the Lava Plume regardless, and heavily damaged the Umbreon. Steven then got hit by a Dark Pulse, which didn't do a lot of damage to Steven. Steven luckily pulled off another Lava Plume, which knocked out the Umbreon. Kimono Girl Naoko was next, and she sent out an Espeon. I sent out Samantha. Samantha got hit with a Psychic, and it did a ton of damage. Samantha luckily survived. Samantha used Crush Claw in response, and it didn't do a lot of damage, but it did lower the Espeon's defense. The Espeon used another Psychic, and sadly Samantha got knocked out. I sent in Genji, and the Espeon used Psychic, which did a lot of damage to Genji. Genji used Bite, which was super effective, and with the Espeon's lower defense, managed to knock it out. The next battle was with Kimono Girl Miki, who sent out a Flareon. Steven used Quick Attack and quickly realized it was a mistake. The Flareon used Fire Blast, which for a not very effective move, did a decent amount of damage. The Flareon used a Quick Attack itself to chip away at Steven's health, and Steven used Lair to lower its defense. Steven did some more defense lowering, and then got hit with a Fire Blast, which almost knocked him out. Steven used another Quick Attack because I figured it was his last turn alive, and luckily he got a critical hit. The Flareon used Quick Attack as well and knocked out Steven. I sent in Genji to finish off the Flareon. He luckily outsped it and knocked it out with a bite. Kimono Girl Sayo was next, and she had a Jolteon. I only had 2 Pokemon left, Genji and Shucky. Both are weak to electricity, and yeah, we lost. I quickly healed up my guys, and then I tried again. Kimono Girl Sayo sent out her Jolteon again, and William was up, but he was injured from the previous battle. I used a full restore to heal his health and get rid of burn. The Jolteon used Double Team to increase its evasiveness, which is a jerk thing to do! The Jolteon used Double Team again, and to no surprise, William missed. The Jolteon kept using Double Team, and William kept missing. After many Double Teams, William finally hit an Earthquake and knocked out the Jolteon in one hit. The last battle was against Kimono Girl Kuni, who had a Vaporeon. Did you know Vaporeon... Actually, never mind. The Vaporeon used Aurora Beam, and William used Earthquake over and over until the Vaporeon was knocked out. The Kimono Girls gave me a reward for winning, but still no hula dance. A little girl came in and told everyone she saw a giant shadow near the bell tower. Everyone left to check it out, and so did I. I went into the bell tower entrance building, went past the guard, went through the room, and found myself in a beautiful golden forest. Steven and I calmly made our way through the beautiful golden forest and entered a building. It was the bell tower. When inside, I ran with Steven until we bumped into an old man. I pulled out my rainbow wing on him, and he was in disbelief, and I walked past. When at the top of the ladder, I got into one of the many random encounters that were in the tower. Literally the only Pokemon that were in the sacred tower were Rattata. Just hundreds and hundreds of Rattata. Why? Every time we saw one, Steven used Lava Plume to easily knock them out. I kept running through the tower, and I gotta be honest, I really don't like this tower in this game. It's just a complete labyrinth of random jumps and ladders and bullshit. I don't like it, man. I'm not a fan. I eventually made it to the last ladder, and I climbed it. On top of which were all the Kimono girls waiting for me. Kinda creepily, if you ask me. All the girls started to dance, and I was awkwardly standing there. And again, it wasn't a hula dance. I was pretty disappointed. In the sky, the great legendary bird, Ho-Oh, appeared. And he started circling the tower. He gently came down in front of me, and I challenged it to a battle. I threw a Master Ball at it and caught it immediately. I had to come up with a cool name for a cool legendary Pokemon, and I decided on Henry! Henry the Ho-Oh! Ah, yeah! Pretty cool, right? I thought so too. I then left the rooftop and used an escape rope to get out the tower. Once back on the streets of Ecruteak City, Steven and I ran to the Pokemon Center. When inside, I put Henry the Ho-Oh on the team and put Shucky in the box. Aww. I immediately taught Henry Fly and used it to leave Ecruteak City. Henry took me back to Nubug Town, and I immediately made my way towards the Elite Four. William used Surf, I hopped on his back, and we started sailing. After some swimming, we made it to the other side of the lake, and some dude stopped us, only to tell us that we're now in Kanto. Hey man, I gotta be honest, I do not care. I entered the cave to Tojo Falls. When inside, I hopped on William's back, and with Genji's help, climbed the waterfall. When we got to the top of which, I did some more swimming on William's back and soon went down the waterfall on the other side. When we got to the bottom, I made it to land and left the cave. Right outside the cave, I got into a trainer battle. Ace Trainer Megan sent out a Bulbasaur and Doretta used Slam a couple of times to knock it out. I switched in Steven and Megan sent out an Ivysaur. Steven used Lava Plume and knocked it out in one hit. Megan sent out a Venusaur and Steven used Lava Plume again to knock it out quickly. After the very brief battle, I decided to check out the nearby house. There was a lady inside and she did some kind of loyalty test on me, and I was loyal. That's right, she said it. And she gave me the TM37, which is Sandstorm, and I am never going to use it. I then left the house and continued along the route. I had to hop on William's back to get across another lake. When I did get to the other side, I immediately got into a battle. Ace Trainer Blake sent out a Magneton. Doretta used Aqua Tail, and even though it was effective, it didn't quite do the damage I was hoping. The Magneton used a Thunderbolt, and Doretta couldn't survive another one. Doretta used Dragon Rage and hoped to knock out the Magneton, but it didn't. Magneton used another Thunderbolt, and unfortunately Dorita got knocked out. I sent in Samantha, who hit the Magneton with a rollout and finished it off. I subbed out Samantha and sent in William as Blake sent out his own Quagsire. William used Earthquake, got hit with an Earthquake, and then used another Earthquake to knock out the Quagsire. I sent in Steven and Blake sent out an Execute. Steven hit it with a Lava Plume and knocked it out very quickly. After the battle, I continued running along the path with Samantha by my side. Soon I got into another battle. This guy was not the smartest trainer as he only had one Mari. I don't know how this guy became an ace trainer with one Mari, and I don't know why he hasn't evolved it. Samantha hit it with a Crush Claw, but unfortunately got paralyzed due to static. No! The Mareep sort of wasted its turn with a Cotton Spore, because when paralyzed you always move last anyway. The Mareep hit Samantha with a Signal Beam, and then Samantha missed. Maybe I underestimated this Mareep. The Mareep hit another Signal Beam on Samantha, and then Samantha luckily hit her Crush Claw, which knocked out the Mareep. I hopped on William's back again to do some surfing, used Whirlpool to cross a whirlpool, and then surfed until I hit land. When I did get to land, I got into a battle straight away. Psychic Eli sent out a Starmie, which used Confuse Ray to confuse Samantha right at the beginning of the battle. Samantha used Crush Claw, which did some decent damage, but more importantly, lowered the Starmie's defense. The Starmie used Swift, which is a bad move this far into the game, and then Samantha luckily pulled through confusion and hit Starmie with another Crush Claw and knocked it out with its lowered defense. I sent in my man Steven as Eli sent out his Execute. Steven used Lava Plume, which was super effective, and knocked it out. Eli sent out a Giraffe Rig, Steven used Lava Plume and knocked it out too. Steven leveled up to level 40, and then I started walking across a bridge with Samantha until I got into another battle. Ace Trainer Rena sent out a Growlithe, who was a higher level than my Samantha. Samantha hit the Growlithe with a super effective rollout, and it didn't do a lot of damage. Samantha then got hit with a Flamethrower, which did a good amount of damage, and Samantha got burned. Samantha used her second rollout in a row, which is supposed to do double damage, but since she was burned, it got cancelled out. The Growlithe bit Samantha with a Fire Fang, and unfortunately, Samantha got knocked out. I sent in William, who got hit with a Flamethrower straight away, and the lucky Growlithe got a critical hit. William used Surf and took it out. Rena sent out a Staryu, William hit it with an Earthquake and knocked it out. Rena sent out a Nidorina, and William did the same thing and knocked it out too. Rena could tell I was goated, and I was an absolute beast because she wanted to be my practice partner and asked for my phone number. After getting Rena's digits, I continued running along the route with William until I got stopped by another trainer and got into another battle. Fisherman Scott sent out a Quillfish, and William took it out pretty much straight away with an Earthquake. Scott sent out a Sea King, and William employed the same strategy of spamming Earthquake until it was no more. Scott sent out another Quillfish, and that died pretty quick as well. I continued running, and this place is absolutely filled with trainers because in about 5 seconds, I found myself in another trainer battle. Psychic Vernon only had one Pokemon, and it was an Espeon. It hit William with a Psybeam and unfortunately knocked him out. I sent in Genji to deal with it instead. Genji got hit with a Psybeam, which unluckily confused Genji. Fortunately, Genji hit its super effective bite anyway and knocked out the Espeon in one hit. I continued along the route with Steven until we reached and entered a house. Hooray! The lady inside was very nice and let us have a rest, which healed all my Pokemon that got knocked out. When I left the house, I got into a battle with the trainer standing next to it. She sent out a Pikachu and I sent out Dorita. Dorita used Slam and missed, obviously because she hates winning. The Pikachu used Double Team, so we're probably going to miss again. The prophecy came true, and Dorita missed an Aqua Tail this time, and the Pikachu used Thunder Wave to paralyze poor Dorita. The Pikachu used Double Team again, and you could probably already guess, Dorita missed again. The Pikachu repeated Double Team, and by some act of a higher power, Dorita hit an Aqua Tail. Unfortunately, the Pikachu survived. Dorita's ability cured its paralysis. Dorita then missed her attack and got paralyzed by Pikachu's Thunder Wave again. The Pikachu finally attacked and hit Dorita with a Thunderbolt. It didn't do a lot of damage, it was not very effective. Luckily, Dorita hit the Dragon Rage and knocked out the Pikachu and got its paralysis cured again from its ability. Our opponent sent out a Blastoise and Dorita hit it with a trifecta of Dragon Rages and knocked it out. The same thing happened, I ran and got into a battle. Ace Trainer Gavin sent out a Victory Bell. Doretta hit it with a slam and then got poisoned by Toxic. Doretta used Dragon Rage twice and then knocked it out. I sent out William so Doretta wouldn't die to poisoning, and then Gavin sent out a Kingler. The Kingler stomped on William, and luckily it got a critical hit, and then William hit it with an Earthquake. The Earthquake did good damage, and I only need to hit it with one more. The Kingler repeated stomp, and then William hit the Earthquake it needed to knock out the Kingler. Gavin sent out a Flareon as his last Pokemon. William hit it with a Surf and knocked it out. I took about 5 steps and got into another battle. I'm getting real sick of these battles, man. Every 2 seconds. Doretta hit the Parasect with a Slam. The Parasect used Swords Dance to increase its attack. Doretta hit it with a Dragon Rage, and unfortunately, it did survive. The Parasect used Spore and made Doretta have a little nap. The Parasect used 2 slashes while Doretta was sleeping.
Oh no.
When Doretta woke up, she used a Dragon Rage and knocked out the Parasect. I sent in William as Jake sent out a Golduck. It was William's lucky day as the Golduck healed William with a water move. William used an Earthquake and got a critical hit which knocked out the Golduck. Jake sent out a Vaporeon, and did you know that Vaporeon... Actually, never mind. William used an Earthquake, the Vaporeon fainted, and we won the battle. It didn't take much running until we ran into the last trainer on the route. Ace trainer Jammy sent out a Rapidash, and I started with Doretta. The Rapidash used Will-O-Wisp to burn poor Doretta, and then Doretta hit an Aqua Tail. It only did half damage because of Doretta's burn. The Rapidash stomped on Doretta, and then Doretta used a Dragon Rage. The Rapidash stomped on Doretta again. Unfortunately, Doretta flinched and got hurt by burn and almost died. I used a full restore to heal back up Doretta and get rid of her burn. The Rapidash stomped on Doretta a couple of times, and then Doretta pulled off a Dragon Rage and knocked out the Rapidash. Jamie sent out a Flaffy as her last Pokemon, and Doretta hit it with a Dragon Rage, which did just under half of its health. The Flaffy used Thunder Wave to paralyze Doretta. The Flaffy used Discharge and... Hey yo, what is it hitting me with? Doretta luckily hit a Slam, and it did enough damage to knock out the Flaffy. After the fight, I entered a building and got stopped by the police. He counted my 8 badges and let me through. I ran through and exited the building and found myself on Victory Road. I quickly came across a boulder I had to move. Samantha helpfully used Strength and I could push it out the way. I continued running and switched Samantha for Genji in the first party slot as Genji was stronger against the wild Pokemon. There was an item on the floor and I picked it up. It was a potion. Why is there a potion here? Not useful this far into the game. After a bit more running, I found myself a max revive. Big find. I walked up some stairs and climbed a ladder leading to a different part of the cave. The cave itself was quite expansive and labyrinth-like, but I didn't mind too much because there were no trainer battles to slow me down significantly. After a ton of running and exploring the cave, I came across 3 breakable rocks. I broke them all and picked up an item, a useful TM, Dark Pulse. I did some more exploring and found another really good TM, 26, for Earthquake. I continued and the end of the cave was near. I could see the exit in sight, but then I was stopped by someone. It was Jim. He wanted to battle me and take on the Elite Four himself. He was also complaining about all the trainers in the last area, and yeah, I kinda understand it, man. He said he was gonna crush me and we started to battle. My rival Jim sent out a Sneasel first, and I sent out William. The Sneasel hit William with a feint attack, and it actually did some good damage. William used Earthquake and almost knocked out the Sneasel in one hit. The Sneasel hit William with another feint attack, then William used Surf, which knocked out the Sneasel. William leveled up to level 40, and I switched them out and sent in Steven as Jim sent in his Feraligatr. I switched William back in to bait the Feraligatr into using a water move, and it did, which healed William. The Feraligatr used Crunch on William, which bit away a chunk of his health, and then William used Earthquake, which did a lot of damage. We thankfully got a critical hit. The Feraligatr used Slash for some more damage, and then William hit another Earthquake, and luckily got another critical hit, which knocked out the Feraligatr. Jim sent out his Haunter, which outsped William and used Shadow Ball, and did enough damage to knock William out. I sent in Steven to take on the Haunter. Steven used Lava Plume, which did a ton of damage, and knocked out the Haunter in one hit. Jim sent out a Kadabra, and bro really needs to trade some of his Pokemon so they can evolve. Steven's Lava Plume did some good damage, but the Kadabra survived. Kadabra used Disable, which stopped Steven using his best move. Luckily, the Kadabra was weak, Steven hit it with a quick attack, and the Kadabra fainted. I switched out Steven and sent in Samantha as Jim sent out his Golbat. The Golbat used Air Cutter, which did some good damage to Samantha. Samantha retaliated with a rollout, which was super effective, but was pitiful. The Golbat used another Air Cutter, and Samantha seemingly doesn't want to be conscious because she missed. The Golbat used another Air Cutter, which left Samantha critically injured. Samantha hit another super effective rollout, but it wasn't enough. The Golbat repeated Air Cutter and knocked out Samantha. Oh no. I sent in Steven to handle things. He used Lava Plume and quickly killed the Golbat. Jim unfortunately sent out a Magneton as his last Pokemon, and Steven hit it with a super effective Lava Plume and knocked it out. Jim was defeated. He swore he'd get stronger and defeat me one day before walking away. You ain't ever gonna beat me, Jim! I'm too strong! Yeah! You suck! Was that too mean? Oh well, I left the cave. I had made it to the Indigo Plateau. I walked ahead and entered the building. When inside, I healed my guys after lots of hard work. I hit the shop as well and stocked up on items I could use for my last encounter. I used a TM on Steven to teach him Earthquake. I talked to the guy at the top of the stairs and he warned me about the upcoming battles. He then stepped aside and I went in. A man in purple was standing in front of me. His name was Will, a psychic type user. Soon, the first battle of the Elite Four began. Elite Four member Will sent out a Xatu and I started with Steven. Steven hit the Xatu with a Lava Plume for some big damage. The Xatu used Confuse Ray and Confuse Steven. Though Steven was confused, he hit another Lava Plume and the Xatu got knocked out. I switched out Steven and sent in William as Will sent out a Slowbro. The Slowbro was an absolute jerk. It just used Curse over and over again, lowering its speed and raising its attack and defense. William kept using Earthquake and other attacking moves to slowly chip away at the Slowbro's health. When the Slowbro did get low, Will used a full restore and healed the Slowbro back up. William hit it with a not very effective Surf as it was doing the most damage. The Slowbro suddenly attacked with Psychic and it did a ton of damage to William. William hit it with a pathetic Slam and then got hit with another Psychic and unfortunately got knocked out. I sent out Doretta to circumvent the Slowbro's high defense with a guaranteed 40 damage Dragon Rage. It did good damage and the Slowbro wasted its turn with another Curse. Doretta pulled off another Dragon Rage and luckily knocked out the Slowbro. I switched out Doretta and sent Steven back into the battle as Will sent out a Jinx. Steven used a super effective Lava Plume which did a ton of damage but the Jinx survived. The Jinx responded with a lovely kiss and Steven fell asleep. I used an Awakening to wake Steven back up and the Jinx used Psychic which did some good damage. Steven used Lava Plume again and knocked out the Jinx. Will sent out an Executor which Steven used Lava Plume on and KO'd straight away. Steven leveled up to level 42 and learnt Flamethrower, a stronger fire move. Will sent out a Xatu and Steven tested out his new move. It did a lot of damage and even though the Xatu healed itself with a Citrus Berry, one more would take it out. Steven got hit with a Psychic and almost died. Steven used another Flamethrower on the Xatu, knocked it out and won the battle. Afterwards, Will tried to make a speech about why he lost, but bro, who cares? In the next room was the second Elite Four member, Koga. He was saying how he was going to confuse, sleep, and poison my Pokemon, and I was not looking forward to the battle. It soon begun, regardless. Koga sent out an Ariados first, and I sent out Steven. Steven used Flamethrower and knocked it out in one hit. Koga sent out a Forretress, which was an interesting choice. Steven used Flamethrower again and knocked it out straight away. Koga then sent out a Muck, and Steven hit it with a super effective Earthquake, which only slightly didn't do as much damage as I was hoping for. The Muck revealed itself to be a complete asshole and used Minimize. It also healed itself a bit with the item it was holding, Black Sludge. Steven used a Flamethrower and with Stab, and its affinity for special attacking moves did about the same damage as the super effective Earthquake. The Muck used Toxic and poor old Steven got poisoned. Koga the jerk healed the Muck with a full restore. Steven missed his Flamethrower and got hurt by poison. A bad turn for Steven. Steven hit another flamethrower and the muck repeated minimize. Steven missed a flamethrower and the muck missed its attack as well. Steven got hurt by poison. It was an unproductive turn. Steven missed another flamethrower and the muck hit its gunk shot, which is a strong move. Unfortunately, it knocked out Steven. I sent in William, who straight away got hit with a gunk shot, but luckily it was not very effective. William hit the muck with a super effective earthquake. It was doing a ton of damage, but unfortunately the muck barely survived. We had another unproductive turn of missing both our attacks, and then the muck hit William with a gunk shot. Again, it did a lot of damage for a not very effective move, but William hit her earthquake as well, which knocked out the muck. I sent in Henry the Ho-Oh for the first time, as Koga sent out a Venomon. Henry used Sacred Fire, which was super effective, and cooked the Venomon. It got knocked out. Koga sent out his last Pokemon, a Crobat. It was a jackass just like the muck and used Double Team to increase its evasiveness. Henry unfortunately missed an already low accuracy move. The Crobat repeated Double Team and Henry sucks! He missed again. Henry got hit with a wing attack and then finally landed a Sacred Fire. It was pretty effective and did roughly half of the Crobat's health. Sadly, the Crobat did recover with a Citrus Berry. The Crobat hit Henry with yet another wing attack and Henry yet again missed. The Crobat started to be a douchebag again and Henry hit it with a Sacred Fire. The Sacred Fire left the Crobat critically injured, but Koga used a full restore and healed the Crobat's health all the way. After healing, Henry missed again. Henry got hit again and I was kind of expecting it at some point. He got a critical hit. Henry got lucky as well and finally hit a Fire Blast, which did more than half of the Crobat's health. I healed up Henry with a Hyper Potion as a reward for finally hitting an attack. Congratulations, Henry! The Crobat kept using Wing Attack and Henry decided to miss over and over again. I switched it up and used Fly, and to my surprise, it actually hit and knocked out the Crobat. After the battle, Koga told me he tried his best and failed. He told me to go to the next room, and I did. Inside the next room was the third member of the Elite Four, and he reminded me a lot of Chuck, the gym leader. His name was Bruno, and I wonder if he shared the same trait as Chuck, that is, not training his Pokemon enough. The battle soon began. Elite Four member Bruno sent out a Hitmontop to start, and I sent out Steven. Steven attacked the Hitmontop with a flamethrower, and it did good damage. It took its health to halfway. The Hitmontop failed its counter. Steven used flamethrower again and knocked out the Hitmontop. Bruno sent out an Onix. Steven hit it with a super effective earthquake, but it did not seem super effective. The Onix used Sandstorm, which is a mild annoyance, as it's going to chip away at Steven's health. Steven used a Lava Plume, and even though it was not very effective, it did about the same amount of damage as Earthquake. It also burned the Onix. The Onix used a super effective Earthquake, which had its power weakened because it was burned. The Onix took some damage from the burn and almost got knocked out. Unluckily, Bruno used a full restore, recovered all the Onix health, and got rid of burn. Steven used a flamethrower this time, which did good damage, and got the Onix to half health. Steven used another flamethrower, but was scammed! The Onix survived. The Onix hit Steven with an earthquake, and without the burn, it did a ton of damage and knocked out Steven. I sent in Samantha, who tanked an earthquake straight away, and then hit a Crush Claw to take out the Onix. Damn it! Oh, shit! The Onix survived, and it used Earthquake again for more damage on Samantha. Samantha hit another Crush Claw and knocked out the Onix. I sent in William the Quagsire as Bruno sent out a Hitmonchan. It used Ice Punch for some decent damage, and William hit it with a Surf, and the damage of which genuinely made me sad. The Hitmonchan used another Ice Punch, and then William hit an Earthquake for some really good damage. The Hitmonchan used yet another Ice Punch, and then William hit it with a Surf and took it out. I sent in my Dragonair Doretta as Bruno sent out a Hitmonlee. The Hitmonlee used Focus Energy, and I gotta be honest, I don't know what this does, and Doretta used an Aqua Tail. The Hitmonlee used High Jump Kick, and the damage of which made me realize maybe I'm a bit underleveled. Doretta got knocked out. I sent in Genji to take care of the Hitmonlee. The Hitmonlee used Swagger, which was a questionable decision at best, as it raised Genji's attack, but confused him. Genji luckily hit a Waterfall, and with the boosted attack, knocked out the Hitmonlee. Bruno's last Pokemon and ace was a Machamp. Even though Genji was confused, still hit a Waterfall. The waterfall did tons of damage with the boosted attack, and the Machamp flinched. Genji, even though confused, pulled through once again and hit the Machamp with yet another waterfall. The waterfall knocked the Machamp out, Genji leveled up, and we won the battle. Bruno lost and was really modest about it. I couldn't even talk shit. I walked off and went to the next room. The last member of the Elite Four was standing in front of me. Her name was Karen, and she was a dark type user. The battle began. Karen sent out an Umbreon to start, and I began the battle with Henry the Ho-Oh. Henry used a Fire Blast to start, which did some decent damage for the start of the fight. The Umbreon used Double Team. It's gonna be one of those battles, is it? Damn it. Henry flew up into the sky, and the Umbreon missed a confused ray. Henry hit the fly, which did some good damage, and then got hit with a feint attack. Karen lived up to her name and used a full restore to heal up all the damage I did to Umbreon. Henry flew up high in the sky again. Henry came down and hit the Umbreon with a fly, which did a good chunk of damage. The Umbreon continued to be a douchebag and used Double Team, then Henry flew up and hit the Umbreon with Fly the next turn. Henry got hit with a feint attack and then flew up into the sky again. Luck was on my side as all the Double Teams meant nothing. Henry hit his Fly and knocked out the Umbreon. I sent out Steven as Karen sent out a Murkrow. Steven hit a flamethrower which did a ton of damage but didn't quite knock out the Murkrow. The Murkrow used Pluck for some good damage as well, and then Steven used Lava Plume, which knocked it out. I switched out Steven and sent in William as Karen sent out her ace Houndoom at a threatening level 47. The Houndoom used Nasty Plot, which sharply increased its special attack. Things could have gone really bad, really fast, but luckily William's Earthquake did a ton of damage and got a critical hit, which knocked out the Houndoom. I sent in Steven after the Houndoom went down, and Karen sent out a Vileplume. Steven used Lava Plume because he had no PP left in Flamethrower, and I wish this wasn't the case because the Vileplume survived. The Vileplume used Stun Spore and paralyzed poor old Steven. The Vileplume now outsped Steven because he was paralyzed and used Petal Dance, which did a lot of damage because he got a critical hit. Steven used a Lava Plume and knocked out the Vileplume. I sent out William as Karen sent out her last Pokemon, Gengar. The Gengar wasted its turn failing a Spite, and then William hit a Surf for some mild results. The Gengar hit a Focus Blast, and it's safe to assume the Gengar's special attack is high as shit. It did a lot of damage. Steven hit the Gengar with another Surf. The Gengar missed, and I thought it was my lucky day because William hit a Surf, but the Gengar survived, and then Karen healed it up all the way. William used another Surf, and then got hit with another massive Focus Blast, and got knocked out. I sent in Henry to finish off the Gengar, and it used Destiny Bond for some reason, even though it's the last Pokemon. Regardless, the Gengar got hit with a Fire Blast, and it did a ton of damage. Luckily, it burned Gengar. The Gengar took damage from the burn, and it got knocked out. We won the battle. Afterwards, Karen did her little speech, and I gotta be honest, this really hit me as a kid. I think this must have been like the only dialogue I actually read in the game. But yeah, I was like, whoa, she's right. I moved on and walked into the final chamber. The champion was going to be my next fight, and it was going to be the hardest, most arduous battle yet. I walked up to Lance with my underleveled team and spoke to him. He did his whole champion speech he had prepared, or whatever, and then he challenged me to a battle. Lance sent out his Gyarados, and I sent out Henry. Henry flew high into the sky, and the Gyarados missed. Henry hit a fly for some big damage. We got extra lucky and got a critical hit. The Gyarados used a super effective waterfall, which also did big damage to Henry. Henry almost got knocked out, but luckily he's a tank. Lance used a full restore and brought Gyarados back to full health. Henry used extra sensory for some mediocre damage. Henry flew up again, the Gyarados missed, and then Henry hit a fly. It did some good damage. The Gyarados used Ice Fang, and luckily Henry survived on 2 HP. Henry flew up again and hit another fly. Sadly, Henry was hit from Gyarados' waterfall and was taken out. I sent in Doretta, and the Gyarados used Flail for some reason, and it actually did a lot of damage. Doretta used Dragon Rage for a guaranteed 40 damage, and the Gyarados was knocked out. I sent in Genji as Lance sent out one of his Dragonites. Genji's Intimidate lowered its attack. Thankfully, Genji dodged a Thunder, which would have been 4 times effective. Genji hit a super effective Ice Fang for some big damage. I switched out Genji because I didn't want him to get one-shot by a Thunder and sent out William, who was immune. The Dragonite used Dragon Rush instead, and it did some big damage to William. William responded with a Surf, which was pathetic. The Dragonite hit another Dragon Rush, and unfortunately, William got knocked out. I sent in Genji again to lower the Dragonite's attack. I was praying the Dragonite was gonna miss Thunder, but it didn't. It hit Genji, and unfortunately, Genji got knocked out too. I sent in Steven, who upon entering the battle, got hit with a Hyper Beam. It did a lot of damage to Steven, but I knew it had to recharge. Steven hit a Lava Plume because we still didn't have any flamethrowers left, and it didn't do a lot of damage. While the Dragonite was recharging, Steven hit another Lava Plume, which left the Dragonite with critical HP. In a surprising turn of events, Lance switched out his Dragonite and sent in an Aerodactyl. Steven's quick attack hit the Aerodactyl and did barely anything. I decided to forfeit Steven's turn and use an item to heal up William instead. Steven got hit with a Rock Slide, and unfortunately, he got knocked out too. I sent in Dorita, who unfortunately got outsped and hit with a Crunch. Dorita got knocked out, and I sent in Samantha. I used a Hyper Potion to heal up William as things were looking really bad. The Aerodactyl used Aerial Ace, which left Samantha at half health. I decided to bring back Genji with a Revive. Samantha got hit by another Aerial Ace and somehow survived. Oh, yeah, Samantha! I took the time to heal up Henry as well. Samantha got hit by a Rock Slide and got knocked out, but she did well. I sent in William. He got hit with an Aerial Ace and almost taken to half health. William used Surf, which did some good damage. William got hit with yet another Aerial Ace, which left him low. William used another Surf and luckily knocked out the Aerodactyl. I switched out William because he was injured and sent out Henry again. Lance sent out a level 50 Dragonite. I took the time to use a Hyper Potion and heal William back up again. Henry, who was already at half health, got hit by a super strong Outrage and got knocked out. I sent Genji back into the fight, who lowered the Dragonite's attack upon entry. I used one of my few max revives to bring back Henry to full HP. The Dragonite repeated Outrage and Genji got knocked out again. I sent in William this time and the Dragonite used Outrage again. From Genji lowering its attack, William managed to survive. William then used a Slam, which was pathetic. I used my second and last max revive to bring back Genji again to full HP. After healing Genji, William got hit with a Fire Blast and got knocked out. I sent Genji back into the battle, and this further decreased the Dragonite's attack. Yo, DJ, can you replay the song again? I think the battle still is a long way to go. Yes, sorry, man. It'll be over soon, man. I promise, man. Sorry. The Dragonite was confused from Outrage, and luckily it hurt itself in confusion. Genji used a super effective Ice Fang for some good damage. Unfortunately, the Dragonite was holding a Citrus Berry and recovered some health. I decided to play it safe and use a revive on William. The Dragonite was still confused, and luckily, it hurt itself again. The Dragonite threw the match with a Safeguard, and Genji hit another super effective Ice Fang, which did enough damage to knock out the Dragonite. Yes, Genji! Yes! Who cares he's 11 levels higher than you? Yes, Genji! I switched in Henry, and Lance sent out his injured Dragonite from before. He used a full restore to heal it all the way back up. Henry used Fly, the Dragonite had no target and missed, and then Henry hit the Fly for some decent damage. The Dragonite used Dragon Rush and hit Henry for some massive damage. Henry flew up into the sky again. Henry came back down and hit the Dragonite with Fly for some more good damage. I figured it was over for Henry next turn, so I used the revive on Steven. Luckily, the Dragonite missed. I used the extra time I had to use an item. I used a Hyper Potion to heal up William. The Dragonite then used a Dragon Rush, and sadly, it was over for Henry. Henry got knocked out. I sent in Genji, and unfortunately this is the Dragonite with Thunder. The Thunder was 4 times effective on Genji and knocked him out. I sent in William, and things were looking bad again, so I revived Henry. The Dragonite used a Hyper Beam, which did good damage to William, but I knew it had to recharge. I used a Hyper Potion to heal Henry, and then the Dragonite was recharging. I used a revive on Genji as well, and then Dragonite hit William with another Hyper Beam. William got knocked out, but this was a good thing. I had a free move. I sent in Henry, and while the Dragonite was recharging, Henry flew into the sky. The Dragonite tried to use another Hyper Beam, and Henry hit the fly. Luckily, it did the damage needed to knock out the Dragonite. Lance sent out his third and final Dragonite. I used a Hyper Potion to heal Genji back up. The Dragonite used Shockwave and paralyzed Henry. The Dragonite missed its Dragon Rush, and Henry flew up into the sky. The Dragonite didn't have a target, and Henry hit its attack. The Dragonite missed again. Yeah! Yes! Yeah! Henry managed to hit the Dragonite with another fly for some more damage. The Dragonite missed yet again. Yes! Yeah! Yes! Henry was paralyzed though, and his move didn't work. No! The Dragonite used a Hyper Beam, and it didn't even do much damage to Henry. Henry flew up, and his fly hit the Dragonite. Luckily, the Dragonite got knocked out. I switched out Henry and sent in Genji, as Lance sent out his last Pokemon, Charizard. The Charizard used an Air Slash, and it didn't even do half of Genji's health. Genji used a super effective Waterfall on the Charizard, and it did big damage. The Charizard hit Genji with another Air Slash, and Genji survived. Genji used Waterfall again and took out the Charizard. Yes, Genji! Yes! Yes, Genji! Yeah! Woo! We did it! We had beaten Lance! The battle was finally over. Yeah, shame, Lance. I told you it was gonna be an easy win. Did I tell you that? Well, I meant to. I meant to say that. Yeah, it was easy, huh? I can do this any day of the week. Professor Oak came crippling in to congratulate me on my big W, and then Lance and I left. I followed him into the next room. Lance and I walked down the corridor, and when we got to the end, we had a brief conversation. The Hall of Fame! Oh, Henry! Yes! Thanks for all the help, buddy! Oh, Samantha! Oh man, sorry you're so underleveled, but you did so good. Thank you, Samantha. Genji! Oh man, you came in clutch, Genji. Thank you so much for your hard work. Oh, William, my man! Ah, oh, dude! Thank you so much for all the effort, William. Doretta! Yeah! I know you had a sex change midway through, but I don't think of you any different, man. You were amazing. You did great. And Steven, my guy! Yes, Steven! I love you guys. We did it! We did it! Yeah! We had done it. We'd challenged the Pokemon League and won. We proved that old man Professor Elm wrong, and we actually did it. What a journey it was. All of my Pokemon did so well, and I'm thankful for all of them. I'm thankful for something else as well. For you guys. Anyone who watched the video, thank you. I really appreciate it. This video took me a long time to make, and I know it's not what I normally do, but I really enjoyed making it. If you liked the video, subscribe. I might do another one of these eventually. I was thinking about doing Platinum, but I gotta feel like playing another Pokemon game first. Anyway, my journey's come to an end. Thanks again, and goodbye. Oh, what is it? Okay, I'm up. I'm going. Yo, Professor, guess what? I did it, bitch! Yeah, I beat the Elite Four. What's this? A ticket? Why do I need this? To go to Kanto? I don't want to go to Kanto, dude. I'm busy. See you around, bruh. Alright, let's check out my medals. Alright, check it out. My boys are dicked out. Damn, dude, I'm done. I think that's game done right there. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like the video. And happy gaming, fellas. Have a good day.